So far, he hasn't. And if the Buccaneers decide to blitz today, they may well get a magic show of their own here at County Stadium.
Weather conditions for this time of the year in Milwaukee, seasonable. 52 degrees, overcast, and cloudy conditions. But scrumptious again by the standards here in the Midwest. And kicking off with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers will be Donald Igwe-Buike. Back deep for the Packers will be the rookie out of Auburn, Brent Fullwood. So we're just about set to kick off a doubleheader Sunday here on CBS Sports. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers battling the Green Bay Packers. And we're underway. Fullwood takes it on his own 5. He's across the 20. Fullwood still on his feet. And ridden out of bounds at about the 31-yard line by Steve Holloway, the tight end for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Steve Holloway made the
quarterbacking for the Green Bay Packers, Don Mikowski, a rookie from Virginia. And the defense that he'll be facing of Tampa Bay's, Kevin Kellen, will be a starter.
And John Cannon is probably the most experienced and best lineman, defensive lineman.
Kellen in place of Ron Holmes, the linebackers. Chris Washington, Scott Brantley. He started in place of Jeff Davis.
Irvin Randall's the guy to watch. He hits like a ton of bricks.
And the secondary.
Watch Ricky Reynolds and Rod Jones.
In motion, Jesse Clark, Mikowski to pass on first down, finds Philip Epps. And Epps out at about the 41-yard line.
Need the catch from
the Green Bay offense. Been pretty potent. Don Mikowski, the rookie at quarterback.
Davis is the great running back for the Packers.
Only 41.
And the offensive line anchored by Ken Rutgers. He's got a battle today.
And look for them to run behind Rutgers and Moran today.
Brings up a 2nd down and 1 for the Packers out of the pro set. Mikowski, the handoff to Clark. And Clark picks up the first down as the Packers looking impressive on the opening drive. Winston Moss on the stop for the Buccaneers. We talked so much prior to the game about Don Mikowski and how both coaches, Forrest Gregg, of course, very pleased, and Tampa Bay's Ray Perkins saying the guy does not play like a rookie, has a lot of poise and presence out there.
And I would look for him to face some blitzes once they get down near the 30-yard line.
First down for the Packers. Ball on the 43-yard line. 3 receivers into the game for the Packers. Lone back, Jesse Clark. And officials stop play. Delay of game on the Packers. Takes an awful lot, it appears.
Offense. 5-yard penalty, still first down.
Judging by the first couple of games as we look at Forrest Gregg to really rattle the young Don Mikowski. And you mentioned that Forrest Gregg at the top was waiting for the young fellow to make some rookie mistakes.
And, you know, Forrest was telling us that he has a great deal of confidence in Don now. He feels that he came a long way because he came into camp early and started working right after he got out of the University of Virginia.
The live game moves the ball back 5. It'll be 1st and 15 out of the pro set. Mikowski back to pass. Looking for Philip Epps. Ball was batted down by Ricky Reynolds as Philip Epps ran a good route, but Reynolds, good, quick moving, good coverage.
One of the things that's happened with the Buccaneers is that they have improved in the secondary with Doug Graber, their new defensive coordinator. Watch the right side of your screen. Watch the coverage by Ricky Reynolds, number 29. He is very tight, closes very quickly, and suddenly Walter Stanley is not in a position to make the play. Now watch again, number 29 reaches in, closes very quickly, reaches in and slaps the ball away from Philip Epps.
That brings up a 2nd and 15. 2 receivers to the right for the Packers. Mikowski back to pass again. Across midfield, complete to Philip Epps, who's leveled extremely hard by Bobby Kemp. But Epps holds onto the ball, and Epps, again, a small receiver at 5'9", 155. Tremendous job just to hold on to the ball.
You know, the great thing about this play is Epps makes an excellent catch, of course, across the middle. That's one tough thing for a little receiver. But now, watch after he gets the stick here by Kemp right there. Now, he's going to get up and pat him on the head a little bit and say, hey, big guy, you didn't hurt me that much.
That'll bring up a 3rd and 4 3 receivers into the game for the Packers. Make that a 4 wide out package here for the Packers. Mikowski out of the shotgun. In motion, Keith Pasquette. Mikowski across the middle to Epps. It's complete.
Pass complete to Philip Epps.
And first down for the Packers.
James, it appears that the Green Bay Packers have maybe taken a page out of the Buccaneers passing book. I've noticed that Don Mikowski is only taking those short drops. He's getting rid of the ball very quickly on rhythm, and that's something that the Buccaneers like to do. What it does is it forces the defense into not giving you a real strong rush because they don't have time to get to the quarterback.
44, first down.
Coach Perkins was wondering what kind of pressure they could put on this youngster, and so far Mikowski is looking impressive. In motion, Jesse Clark toss back to Kenneth Davis.
Davis.
And Davis stopped by a horde of white shirts of the Buccaneers.
Kellen made the tackle.
As we take a look at Kenneth Davis, again, Green Bay will love to have their running game in good working order, but they've got pretty much of a problem out there in terms of the field conditions, Danny.
Well, as you can see right down the middle of the field, there's some bare spots. That happened because of the Denver game that they played here was a mutter, as they say, and they wore out the field a little bit. We'll get back to some of the other areas in a minute.
3 wide receivers into the game for the Packers. Mikowski back to pass again. Under pressure in the pocket. And Mikowski is dropped by number 51, Chris Washington.
Washington on the tackle.
When you know you've got to bring pressure with a 3-man defensive line, you bring your outside linebackers. Number 51 there, Chris Washington, brings his pressure, makes a loop back inside. Now Don Mikowski has to get out, can't, and good sack by Chris Washington.
That'll bring up a 3rd and 13 for the Packers. Chris Washington, one of the young, talented defensive people for the Buccaneers. Again, 4 receivers into the ball game for the Packers. 3 to the right. Mikowski. Great coverage as the pass was intended for Walter Stanley. Good smothering coverage by Ricky Reynolds. And the thing about Ricky Reynolds that Coach Perkins says he likes the most is his makeup speed.
Yeah, he's one of those kind of guys, as we saw a little bit earlier on the play with Philip Epps, that can close the distance very quickly because he has outstanding speed.
Bobby Futrell.
That brings up the first punting situation of the day. Don Bracken will be punting for the Packers. Back deep for the Buccaneers, Bobby Futrell. And Bracken gets a good hanger. Futrell calls for a fair catch, but there is a flag on the play right in front of Futrell.
It's probably somebody came down a little bit too early because when that flag goes out on the field that quickly, usually somebody's jumping out a little bit too quickly from the offensive line or the defensive line, I should say.
Good punt by Bracken, who's been averaging 43 yards per punt on the season.
12 men on the field on the receiving team. Penalty decline. First down the other way.
That happens even before you can punt the ball.
Official timeout.
Well, a little short of what Bracken has been averaging on a year, a 34-yard punt. That will give Tampa Bay their possession when we come back. In Green Bay, no score. First quarter action here. Quarterbacking for the Buccaneers, Steve DeBerg. Talk about a hot hand. He's been enjoying a great season thus far. And the defensive line that he'll be facing of the Packers, Carricker, Boyarski, and Robert Brown.
Brown may put a lot of pressure on Rob Taylor from the Buccaneers today.
Linebackers anchored by 10-year vet John Anderson. In motion, Gerald Carter for the Buccaneers. And DeBerg with the handoff to Jeff Smith. And the defensive backs that DeBerg will be facing a quick core back there, as a matter of fact, that he's going to have to look out for. Good speed.
Mark Lee is probably their best corner. Dave Brown's got a tremendous amount of experience, 13 years.
That brings up a 2nd and 5 for the Buccaneers. Ball marked on the 18-yard line. So take a look at the offense of the Buccaneers.
2nd and 5 following 18.
Jeff Smith starting for Cliff Austin there.
And the offensive line, Rob Taylor, he's got a battle today. In motion, Mark Carey. And the handoff goes to James Wilder. And there's a flag on the play as Wilder running to the right side of the line, pick up of a few. James Wilder, many people think that he's back to his old form, although he's only averaged about 63 yards against the Packers.
I think one of the things that's happened with James Wilder, though, he's running the ball less because the offense is more flexible now.
Offside, lining up offside, number 22 defense. 5-yard penalty, still second down.
Gordon McCarter is the referee for today's game. You heard the call.
Mark Lee, number 22, a cornerback, apparently was up in a press position and stepped across the line of scrimmage. He was actually into that neutral zone. It appears to be what the penalty was all about.
2nd and 1 for the Bucs. DeBerg back to pass. Looking across the middle. The intended receiver was number 89, Mark Carrier.
Mark looked like one of those majorettes in the band. He's trying to reach back to grab that pass. Steve is throwing a little bit deeper than I expected him to early on. And Mark Carrier is going to have to fill some big shoes. Phil Freeman is out for the Buccaneers. Mark Carrier's got to do the job today.
That brings up a 3rd and 1. And DeBerg, the handoff to Jeff Smith. Pickup maybe of about 1, as Green Bay's defense is sticking pretty hard.
Yeah, that's real football down there. You know, 3rd and 1, a little bit shorter than that. That's a gut check, they call it. You just line up and you hit the guy in front of you as hard as you can and keep moving your feet.
Well, the pickup was just enough for the Bucs as they did pick up the 1st down. Ball is marked on about the 24-yard line. Kind of a quiet crowd so far, Danny. A little surprising. Good size crowd here, but a quiet one.
Wisconsin's always been known as a little bit of a conservative state.
Gerald Carter in motion. DeBerg back to pass. Hitting out of the backfield. James Wilder, and Wilder with good sizable pickup. There is a flag on the play.
Murphy made the tackle.
I would not be surprised if it was a flag on Calvin McGee, number 86.
And there's a Packer down on the far side of the field. Holding call signal against Tampa Bay. And it looks like Mark Murphy from here is still down on the field, the man who made the stop.
And I see Jim Bob Morris, number 47.
Number 86, offense. 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. Still first down.
Well, your eyes are still good at picking up the holding calls. That was against Calvin McGee.
He just looked guilty. Mark Murphy is down on the field, and we'll try to get a report on him as quickly as we possibly can.
That moves the ball back, and it'll bring up it'll still be a 1st and 20 situation for the Bucs.
And you know, Forrest Gregg is thinking that's the last thing he needs right now is for his veterans to go down.
Kansas City out in front of the Bears in the early going. The Raiders hoping to turn their season around a little bit.
Indianapolis on that good news is out 3-0.
Washington playing up in Buffalo.
The good news at Indianapolis is that they have Eric Dickerson now. That will help your backfield substantially.
And the crowd enthusiasm. 1st and 11. Ball marked on the 23-yard line. In motion, Jeff Smith. DeBerg back to pass. And connects with Jeff Smith out of the backfield. And Jeff Smith
made the reception.
It'll be marked at the 31, pushed out of bounds by Jim Bob Morris, real estate salesman, former real estate salesman, replacement player for the Packers.
I played with Jim Bob in the USFL down with the San Antonio Gunslingers, and he was the same way down there as he is up here. Very popular guy.
Outgoing, never at a loss for words. As a matter of fact, his tackle brought the first cheer from the fans here. 2nd and 3. Ball marked on the 31. In motion, Jeff Smith. And Wilder is nailed in the backfield. Johnny Holland, the first to get to him.
Holland and Lee made the tackle.
Johnny Holland is one of those young players that you always hear him saying that they'll improve with every game. This guy really does. Now watch far left side of your screen. You're going to see number 50 there now coming across the line of scrimmage. He meets James Wilder deeper in the backfield than James intended him to, and puts the heavy stick on him. Dick Modzelowski, the defensive coordinator of the Packers, was telling us he thinks Johnny Holland has the ability to be an all-pro very quickly.
3rd and 7, 3 receivers into the game for the Bucks. Out of the shotgun, DeBerg. Flag on a play as DeBerg unloads it as he was under pressure. Johnny Holland and Mike Weddington.
I'm sure it was
putting the heat on DeBerg.
I'm sure it was a holding penalty. It looked like, oh, excuse me. I caught the holding penalty.
And that against
Lining up outside, number 52 defense. 5-yard penalty,
and 52 was Mike Weddington. No wonder he was in the backfield so quickly.
Yeah, the second-year man out of Oklahoma ought to know a little bit better than that. That kind of stuff really upsets people like Forrest Gregg, who can't stand mistakes like that.
Quick update on Mark Murphy, who was slow getting up off of the field over there on the Green Bay sideline. Just had his bell rung. He will be back.
3rd and 2. Ball on the
Part of the game. 3rd and 3 for the Bucks. First drive for the Bucks. DeBerg back to pass. And the ball is batted down by the Green Bay defense.
Almost making the interception.
Pressure, left side of the screen, number 97, Tim Harris. Everybody says he's been having a great season. Excuse me, the right side of your screen there. Makes a nice move on 79, Conrad Goody. And boy, does he put a lick on Steve DeBerg.
Stanley in the deep position to receive the butt.
Robert Brown had a hand on that pass.
But this guy Harris here, everybody says that he is a great athlete, and they're just waiting for him to really break out of the box. Forrest Gregg says he's been playing pretty well all season long. Would like to see that continue.
And James Wilder got smacked on that play as he was a little slow in getting up, but he is walking off under his own power. That'll bring up a punting situation for Tampa Bay. Frank Garcia will do the punting. And back deep for Green Bay, number 87, Walter Stanley, a young man who is not shy about wanting the football.
He told us he's greedy. He said he wants to get the ball in his hands anytime he can.
He made no bones about it.
And Forrest Gregg agreed. He is greedy. He does want the ball.
But he is indeed a confident young man. And
South Shore High School in Chicago.
Garcia gets it away. Stanley takes it on his own 22. And Walter Stanley is stopped by Steve Holloway. And again, the Green Bay crowd here in Milwaukee got their lungs up a little bit on that exciting return, however short, by Walter Stanley. Here still no scores. You take a look at the divisional leaders in the NFC, Washington, Chicago, and the 49ers. And today's game is important because, Danny, if you were to take a look down the road projecting, today's game could have some strong implications wild card-wise.
And that one tie by Green Bay could very well make the difference for them come into the season, getting into that wild card situation.
James Wilder shaking off the strong hit that was placed on him when he was part of the squeeze on that last play, but looks like he's okay. Packers will take over. First down and 10. Ball on the 34. 6:59 remaining in the first quarter. No score here in Milwaukee. And Mikowski back to pass. Going up top. Complete to Walter Stanley. And I'm sure Walter Stanley had something to say to Mikowski in the huddle. Get me the ball.
One of the things that the Buccaneers did last week and got into a little bit of trouble was they ran a zone defense there. You can't even see Rod Jones, number 22. Now you get a picture of him, but Stanley's making his break. Rod's still back too deep in the zone. Walter Stanley makes a nice reception there, jumps up, gets it, and gets out of bounds.
Jones perhaps a little too much respect for the speed of Stanley, but Stanley said that he felt that Jones was a little too flat-footed and he might be able to blow right by him. In motion, Jesse Clark. Mikowski handing off to Clark, and Clark stopped in the backfield. Give the credit to Jackie Walker.
Jackie was not fooled by that counter play at all. Here's a look at it from the end zone. Now watch the running backs take a step to the left. There you see Kenneth Davis going right now. Coming back, here's Jesse Clark, and he cannot get around number 51, Chris Washington, who read that counter play all the way.
Second and 12.
Brings up a 2nd and 12. 3 receivers in for the Packers. Mikowski back to pass. Looking for the big tight end, Ed West, but he was overthrown.
West, the intended receiver.
Ed West, the tight end, is 6'1" and about 245. A little bit short for a tight end, but has played very well for them. Blocks very well.
Well, these aren't the only athletes to be in action this weekend. As a matter of fact, at the New York City Marathon, the winner of that 26-mile race was Ibrahim Hussein from Kenya. And Danny, he gives a little bit of hope to those of us who have just a little age on us. He's 42 years of age and is the first black to win the marathon ever. 3rd and 12. Mikowski under pressure, has to run out of the pocket. And Mikowski takes it to about the 46-yard line before running into John Cannon of the Packers with a little bit of help from Winston Moss, and make that again of the Buccaneers.
One of the things that Mikowski does very well is he moves around in the pocket and is able to get out and scramble when he has to. That's a clear example of it. He will not take the sack if he doesn't have to.
Well, it brings up yet another punting situation for Don Bracken, his 2nd. He'll be kicking deep to Bobby Futrell. And Futrell decides to let it go. Touchback.
Tampa Bay will take over on their own.
And the ball will
20.
be placed out on the 20-yard line. Where Tampa Bay will be starting with 4:57 remaining in the first quarter.
For 75.
No score in the first quarter here in Milwaukee. And then as you take a look at the ground shot there, the players from Tampa Bay really complained about the condition of this field.
And there you can see why. This is some mud, some sitting water on the field. Down in the other end zone there, it slopes down as you get into the deeper part of the end zone, about a 1.5 foot difference between the corner of the end zone and the middle of the field.
And Tampa, of course, will be pleased just to get down in that part of the territory as DeBerg goes the pass as he connects with Calvin McGee. McGee across the 25-yard line to near the 27.
Pass completion to McGee.
Calvin McGee, one of the reasons he's enjoying such a good season is that he's lost 41 pounds since last February. He was up to about 280 pounds. And Coach Ray Perkins said, young man, if you don't lose any more weight, then we're going to play you at guard.
And there's James Wilder stretching out. I think he'll be back. We'll see him a little bit more this afternoon.
Brings up a 2nd and 3. Pickup of about 7. DeBerg, the handoff. Looked to be Bobby Howard.
Howard, the ball carrier.
You know, when you try to run plays up the middle like that, generally if your nose tackle is doing his job as Jerry Boyarski did there, you're only going to get about 1 or 2 yards because he's going to take 2 blockers with him. And that time, he took the 2 inside guys from Tampa Bay, Rick Mallory and Randy Grimes.
James Wilder still on the sidelines.
Jerry Boyarski was with Forrest Gregg in Cincinnati, and he brought him here because he knows what kind of a player he is.
3rd and 1. The handoff to Smith. And Smith going right up the gut.
Smith, the ball carrier.
We'll wait for the bodies to unravel there to see if he got near the first down yardage.
With all that mud on the field, the ball may be about 2 feet down. First down.
Indeed, he did get it.
Yeah.
So first down for the Buccaneers.
Now let's see from this angle if you think that Jeff Smith made it, number 35, going into the line there, and he plunges forward. And I think that's how he got it. He actually got airborne and slipped through a couple of tacklers.
Not a bad move. Pick the hole. First down for the Buccaneers. 3:25 remaining in the first quarter. No score here in Milwaukee. And DeBerg with the handoff to Howard. And again, DeBerg having to work with backs other than the strongest running back, James Wilder, who apparently had bruised that right shoulder of his. We saw him working it on the sidelines, and Bobby Howard and Jeff Smith and all the others are getting a lot of work while Wilder is on the sidelines with their bruised shoulder.
But at 6'3", 225, I don't think a bruised shoulder is going to stop that hoss from coming back. He's a big part of their game plan today.
2nd and 8, DeBerg back to pass. Across the middle, he finds McGee, and McGee with plenty of room. And the tight end takes it across the 45-yard line. Calvin McGee, who in last week's game against the Bears had 6 receptions.
Stills made the tackle.
James, what the Buccaneers did on that play was they call it slow blocking. You bring your tight end, you sit him in like he's going to be on pass protection. Right side of your screen, you see number 86, Calvin McGee. He blocks out first on the linebacker, and then he releases on his route late. He's wide open because the linebacker is already committed to coming to the quarterback, and now he's off and running pretty good, too. He does look good after he's lost all that weight.
And the toss back goes to Smith, who slips on that turf that you were talking about, Danny, before he got a chance to really get across and out to the open area that he was looking for. John Anderson, the 10-year veteran from Michigan, stopped.
On the previous play, James, there was something else going on. Steve DeBerg took a big shot from Alfonso Carrica and went down to the turf awfully hard. And that was also a late hit. No roughing penalty there. Very surprising.
Carrica at 6'6", 271 pounds, but DeBerg has taken an awful lot of hits, certainly against Chicago in the 2 meetings this year. 2nd and 10 still. DeBerg back to pass. Out of the backfield, Bobby Howard. And Howard still on his feet.
Bobby Howard made the reception.
To about the 45-yard line. Bobby Howard taking the pass and picking up good yardage.
James, I like something that Bobby Howard did on the end of that play. Now watch, as he comes through the line of scrimmage, he knows that there's going to be some contact. Now just watch him take this pressure on, and now watch him dip that shoulder and run right into the defensive men. And that's what you've got to do as a running back. You've got to make them feel that shot that you're going to give them. You can't accept the pressure all the time, accept the hits.
3rd and 2. In motion, Smith. DeBerg back to pass. And a great catch, a shoestring type of catch by Jeff Smith.
Not only was it a great catch, but it was also a great throw. DeBerg really squeezed it in there. Watch right side of your screen, number 35 coming directly at you there. Picks up the first down. Jeff Smith makes an excellent catch there, but a beautiful throw also by Steve DeBerg. James, those out routes are very, very tough to throw, especially when you get your man in motion.
Number 22 defense.
Steve DeBerg is awfully good at it.
And Mark Lee is a young man off sides again for the Green Bay Packers. The best drive of the first quarter for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Ball is marked on the 40-yard line.
Ball on the 40.
Kansas City still leading Chicago. And it appears as if the officials have called a timeout.
Green Bay, number 1.
And indeed it is. The first timeout charge to the Packers comes with 27 seconds remaining in the first and no score. Take a look at Pittsburgh. 1st and 10, 27 seconds remaining in the first quarter. And Tampa Bay looks to have drawn the Packers off sides as DeBerg was in the grasp of Tim Harris, but again, there are flags on the play.
James, what Steve DeBerg is doing is he's pulling that defense offside. You can hear him really accentuating that snap count.
Offside defense, number 47. 5 yards, still first down.
And he gets Jim Bob Morris, number 47. Now watch Jim Bob Morris. You can see Steve's head bobbing just a little bit. He's screaming out those signals. Real hard signal count. And now watch Jim Bob come across because he sees that head moving a little bit. He gets some reaction even out of the defensive line. That's what a veteran quarterback will do for you. Every now and then he's going to catch a youngster like Jim Bob Morris.
Take a look at the penalty situation. Jim Bob Morris, one of 2 replacement guys who are playing for the Packers today. In motion, Carter for the Bucks. Jeff Smith around to the right side, close to the 30-yard line, but that'll be the end of the first quarter with no score here in Milwaukee's County Stadium.
End of the first period.
No score, 0-0. We'll be back in just a moment. And for the 54,000 assembled here in County Stadium, not much to cheer about as their Packers have yet to get on the scoreboard. No score as we start the second quarter here as we take a look at Ray Perkins, hoping that his team can get inside of the 20-yard line where they have been productive this year. And DeBerg with the fake handoff. Under pressure, Hassel throws it quickly. His intended receiver was Calvin McGee. The pass was thrown very low as Alfonso Carrica put all kinds of heat on Steve DeBerg.
The Buccaneers were trying to run a waggle pass to the right, and that time Steve DeBerg did not have time to set up because Brian Noble, number 91 for the Packers, came in on the blitz inside and was chasing him out. That's how come he ran into Alfonso Carrica. There's a look at Brian Noble, number 91.
And here's what the drive looks like thus far. 3rd and 1. As the handoff goes to Jeff Smith, but Smith stopped in the backfield.
And there's another look at Brian Noble, number 91. Excellent play inside. Forrest Gregg says this guy is improving with every game. Moved him around a lot last season. Suddenly he settled down to that inside linebacking position. Now watch him take on the trap play. Never really gets hit, but boy, does he put a shot on the back.
That was actually James Wilder carrying the ball as he was stopped by John Anderson and Brian Noble.
Noble out of Arizona State.
Donald Igwe-Buike will attempt the first field goal of the game. It'll be a 48-yard attempt. And it's up. And it's good. Donald Igwe-Buike puts the Buccaneers on the board first. They take the lead 3-0. And certainly that does an awful lot for Donald's confidence.
You know, he felt that at the end of last week's game that he was losing a little bit of confidence in himself because he had the extra point blocked, and as a result, you know, Tampa Bay lost the ball game down there by 1 point. Had a couple of missed field goals, but Donald is one of those kind of guys that comes back strong every time it looks like he's down and maybe teetering a little bit on the edge. Certainly this man Ray Perkins says, hey, look, this is professional football. You've got to get your job done. Extra points should be automatic.
And again, keeping in mind that today's game takes on an awful lot of importance as second place is being battled for. The Chicago Bears off to a good start at 5-1, and now Jim McMahon is back at the helm. So this game takes on a lot of importance as you look down the road, perhaps for wild card possibilities. And Donald Igwe-Buike back deep, Brent Fullwood and Kelly Cook for the Packers. And Fullwood takes it at the 11. Fullwood still on his feet. And is driven out of bounds. Forward progress should be marked somewhere near the 30-yard line. Rick Woods leading the pack of Buccaneers driving forward out of bounds. Top 10 teams doing battle.
Official timeout.
And there's an official timeout down on the field. 13:59 left in the second quarter. Buccaneers on the scoreboard first. They lead it 3-0.
You know, even with all of modern technology, occasionally something will happen that throws everything off, and our monitors have gone out up here indeed. We have lost power in the replay booth as well.
And I'm sure from their standpoint, that's just as important, if not more important. Danny, we were talking about Donald Igwe-Buike and the problems that the Buccaneers have been experiencing in their kicking game. Ray Perkins said perhaps he's been drilling his team a little too much. They practice 30 minutes a day. Maybe he ought to lessen that practice schedule a bit.
Well, one of the things that happens is sometimes you over-practice things. You start thinking about it too much, and many times all you need to do is just line up and do it a couple of times at practice, and then that's it. Get out of there. They even practice all day on Saturday. The whole practice on Saturday is all special teams again, so it is a lot of practice.
Communication for both benches is out. Until either or both come back, the coaches will not have the benefit of phones.
Well, not only was the replay booth out in terms of having lost its pictures, the phone set up for both coaches, the Packers and the Bucs. They lost power. And as you just heard the referee mention, until they get power for one and for both, they'll both have to operate without phones.
It's an equaling out system that they have.
Well, we've got our monitors back so we can see a little bit here. And Fullwood. Not much of a pickup.
And there's our guy, Randall, number 54.
He loves to hit.
James, he's one of those kind of linebackers that, you know, 6'1", 250. He just brings everything with him when he comes up to meet you on the sweep. And that time, Brent Fullwood, I'm sure, was hoping that he would not see number 54, Irvin Randall, around the corner.
Well, anytime you get a compliment from your teammates, as Irvin Randall did, saying that he loves to take your head off, you must be a pretty fair ball player.
Ball on the 32.
Ball on the 32. It'll be 2nd and 10. Packers in the pro set. Mikowski, the handoff. And pushing forward was Kenneth Davis.
James, we got a slant out of the defensive line for the Buccaneers on that play. And there was also something else. Number 86, Ed West, the end of the play, made an excellent block.
Third and 3.
Brings up a 3rd and 3 for the Packers. Coming wide to the left. Walter Stanley. And there appears to be an official timeout, and we'll take that timeout as well and go to Brenton Musburger in New York for an update. NFL Today.
Well, James,
Used to have back in action Kelvin Bryant. Kelvin Bryant has had all kinds of problems with the nagging hamstring pull, and Coach Gibbs was really urging him on. You got to get out there and produce for us.
And hopefully these phone lines will start producing here at County Stadium. Looks like everybody's all hooked up again and we're ready to go.
Ball marked on the 39-yard line. 3rd and 3 for the Packers. 4 receivers, 4 wideouts into the game. Mikowski in the shotgun. Mikowski scrambling. Gets the first down and more. And smartly takes it out of bounds. Don Mikowski run out of bounds by Bobby Kemp. But again, Mikowski showing his athletic ability. He can scramble.
James, watch on the right side of your screen. You're going to see 2 defensive linemen. 75 there. Ken Kellen comes around the middle on the stunt. Don sees that opening and takes off running. Everybody else is back deep in the zone. He says, hey, I can get the first down myself, and even put a nice little move on number 33, Bobby Kemp, the little dippity-do there, and now head out of bounds.
We saw Ray Perkins taking a look at Mikowski. Ray Perkins, along with the entire Buccaneer squad, said, as you mentioned before, Mikowski does not play like a rookie. 1st and 10, ball on the 48. Mikowski rolling left. Has to take it again as he runs it out of bounds.
Mikowski
Gets it to the 45-yard line. Winston Moss runs him out of bounds.
Not an all bad reaction by the Packers on those series of plays. They know that Tampa Bay is playing back deep in that zone. Suddenly, Don Mikowski starts putting pressure on those cornerbacks by running the ball instead of throwing it. The cornerbacks now are in a little bit of a sweat. They've got to start thinking, hey, look, is he going to run the ball or is he going to throw it?
Paul Ott Caruth comes into the game. He's in the backfield for the Packers.
45, 2nd and 7.
Kenneth Davis, wide receiver spot to the right. And the handoff goes to Caruth.
Ball on Caruth to the 45. Walker made the tackle.
Kansas City still leading Chicago by a touchdown. That in the 2nd quarter. St. Louis by 6 over Philadelphia. Buddy Ryan trying to get his team 1 game closer to the 500 mark. Houston surprising leaders in the AFC Central, leading Cincinnati by 4. Brings up a 3rd and 7 here. Ball marked on the 45. 4 receivers in, 3 to the left. Low snap. Mikowski under pressure. And gets rid of it. The intended receiver was Paul Ott Caruth, and he's screaming that he was interfered with and actually pulled down. And the fans, they're in agreement. Chris Washington is the linebacker providing the coverage.
If Chris had been a fisherman, he'd had a fully set hook on that one. He pulled him down all the way to the ground.
But there's no flag on the play.
Sometimes you just get lucky and get away with something. There you see Don Mikowski rolling out to the right. Now watch this play. Number 51, Chris Washington there. Got a little bit of a pull down on the receiver, but hey, he got away with it.
And the Packers are going to have to get rid of it. Don Bracken back to punt. Futrell Lets it go over his head.
Ooh, excellent kick. Excellent kick.
And it goes out at around the 5-yard line. So the Packers have a little bit to cheer about as Tampa Bay will be starting deep in their own territory. Very low-scoring ball game here in Milwaukee. The Buccaneers lead it by the score of 3-0 on a field goal by Donald Igwe-Buike and James Brown along with Dan Jiggis. And Danny, a very sluggish starting ball game. A few penalties, but very slow starting.
James, both teams seem like they're trying to get in the groove. You know, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers drove down, had that one nice series. But other than that, no one has really done very much. Now the crowd's starting to get a little bit behind these guys. They've got Tampa Bay down that end zone, and you can hear them screaming now.
And Tampa Bay starting deep in their own territory on the 5-yard line. And DeBerg.
They're starting to act up a little bit here in Wisconsin.
Well, for once, they've got a little bit to cheer about, as Cliff Austin did not have much of a pickup that time.
The fans will look at the board.
Key series here now for Green Bay. If they can stop Tampa Bay down here, make them punt, they've got excellent field position.
Brings up a 2nd and 9. DeBerg, toss back to Austin. And Austin gets it across to about the 8-yard line. Stopped by Brian Noble and Tim Harris.
Right side of the screen. Watch the pursuit of the defensive line for the Packers. They string it all the way out. Suddenly he's got to take it back up inside, and there's no room to run for Cliff Austin because the defense is staying on the line of scrimmage.
Defense of the Packers doing a good job. Bucks brings up a 3rd and 8. Ball is on the 7-yard line. Big series for the Packer defense. DeBerg back to pass and connects with Calvin McGee. And McGee, the big tight end, takes it across the 30-yard line to get the Bucks out of a literal and figurative hole. Johnny Holland on the stop, but a flag is on the play, and it's going to go against the Buccaneers.
Indications are that this Rob Taylor, number 72. Let's see if that holds up.
Holding, number 39 offense. Half the distance penalty, still 3rd down.
And a guilty party that time, Cliff Austin.
At least it wasn't an offensive lineman. Excuse me, Rob Taylor. Rob, I remember when at his the times when he played down at Northwestern, just down the street a little bit, only 60 miles from here. Pretty good offensive tackle for him.
3rd and 13. Ball is marked on the 4-yard line. 3 receivers in for Tampa Bay. And the Packer defense snuffs out Bobby Howard, forcing a punting situation for the Packers, and the Packers should take over with great field position.
James, what happened is the ball is snapped, and the line does not really hear the ball being snapped. Now, you see that late reaction, and it's not pretty what you have to see when you run up inside like that.
Garcia will do the punting.
Well, the pressure is now on the punter, Frank Garcia. He's going to have to really put together a booming kick. He'll be kicking deep to Walter Stanley of the Packers. And it looked as if a Packer got a hand on the ball. There is a flag on the play as Stanley tries to recover the ball. He did touch it.
Flag on the play.
But there was a flag on the play back where Frank Garcia was kicking the ball.
And Dan Turk was working on that ball, trying to get it away from Walter Stanley, but he says no deal.
Perhaps Scott Stephen maybe roughing the kicker.
But the question is, did he touch the ball? It looked like the ball was shanked just a little bit, and I don't know if he got a hand on it. If he did, he can run into the kicker.
Personal foul running into the kicker. Number 51 on the defense. 5 yards, automatic first down.
Now watch number 54, Scott Stevens, come across the punter's foot, Garcia there. Now, does he tip the ball at all? It appeared that he might have gotten a hand on it, and he definitely hits the punter. That's something you try to avoid. You go for the tip of that foot just where the ball's coming off. So if you don't get the ball, you fly across and you don't get the punter. But he feels, I know, that he got a little bit of that ball. In that case, the hit is legal on the punter.
And, of course, an automatic first down for the Buccaneers. DeBerg, Another opportunity, the handoff to Jeff Smith. And Smith runs into a wall of Packer defenders.
James, I'm beginning to wonder now with the Buccaneers, where's their little rhythm passing game? You know, that three-step drop, the five-step drop, something that worked so well for them last week. We really haven't seen very much of it. They've been running those backs inside, even from down here. If you have enough confidence in your passing game, go ahead and do it. And I'm sure Ray Perkins is starting to say, hey, now, maybe we're playing a little bit too conservative down here, and let's loosen up and throw the ball.
And certainly Forrest Gregg was expecting an air attack from the Buccaneers. 2nd and 8. In motion, Jeff Smith. DeBerg back to pass, looking for Smith. Good defensive play as number 29, Ken Stills of the Packers, gets a hand on that pass intended for Jeff Smith coming out of the backfield.
Everyone always says that the out route is a tough route to throw. You've got to put a lot of speed on the ball. If you don't, you saw what might happen there. Number 29, Ken Stills, could have very easily picked that off if the ball's floating and take it back for the score.
8:12 remaining in the second quarter. Buccaneers on top, 3-0. And the Packer defense still doing the job. It'll be 3rd and 8 for the Bucs. Ball on the 12. 3 receivers in for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. DeBerg back to pass. Goes up top and connects with Mark Carrier. And Carrier still on his feet, driven out of bounds at about the 47-yard line. So Tampa Bay dodges a bullet as they come deep out of their own territory.
Mark Carrier, number 89, top of your screen. They call him Aircraft in college. Had a prolific career in college. Now, watch, he blows over his man there, wide open, and he makes a nice run after he catches the ball and shows some real strength and speed by being able to stand up and get a couple extra yards, even while Dave Brown, number 32, is trying to drag him out of bounds.
And Dave Brown was the man that Carrier knocked down en route to catching that pass and getting Tampa Bay out of a hole. 1st and 10, ball on the 46-yard line. 8:03 remaining in the second quarter. DeBerg back to pass. Looking for James Wilder out of the backfield. Incomplete.
Pass intended for Wilder.
James, Steve DeBerg is getting great protection from that right side. Marvin Powell, number 74. And also Rick Mallory, Conrad Goody, number 79, is doing a great job over on the left side.
And Marvin Powell is glad to be back in action. He was out last week with a hamstring pull and didn't see much action, if any at all.
I spoke to him earlier on the field. He says it's great to be back in uniform and healthy. He pulled a hamstring, as you mentioned, last week, but he's ready to play today.
Brings up a 2nd and 10, ball on the 46. DeBerg back to pass again. Finds Bobby Howard out of the backfield, and Howard takes it down to the 28-yard line, make that the 32-yard line. Bobby Howard showing good movement, and DeBerg starting to open up and connect and find his receivers.
Bobby Howard comes out of the backfield, kind of does a banana route, as they call it, comes back in towards the middle of the field, and there he is wide open. He really beat John Anderson, number 59, and that tries to put a little shake on the secondary, but it won't work. Makes a nice play.
Ken Stills on the trip that time. 1st and 10, ball on the 32. Tampa Bay marching. Calvin McGee was the intended receiver, but intercepted by Jim Bob Morris. Morris still on his feet. And Jim Bob Morris, with the interception for the Green Bay Packers, is brought down by Solomon Miller.
With the interception. There's the flag on the ball.
And Danny, there was a flag on a play holding against the Bucs, and of course that penalty was declined. Again, it was against George Yarno. Now Jim Bob Morris has the longest return this year for the Packers, a 73-yard interception and return, that during the replacement games.
Right side of your screen, you see him working there against number 86, Calvin McGee. He trips Calvin McGee and then makes the pickoff. He tripped Calvin McGee and made the interception. And I'm sure now he makes a nice run back, but hey, he should have gotten a penalty on that play.
Well, it stands as a 51-yard interception return by Jim Bob Morris, and the Packers are excited. 51-yard return. Ball marked on a 34-yard line of the Buccaneers has the Packers breathing life. And Mikowski under pressure, having to scramble out of the pocket. He decides to take it on his own. Has the first down as Don Mikowski runs for the first down under tremendous pressure. Now, Danny, that interception by Jim Bob Morris, you think might have been accomplished illegally.
Watch, they're in the circle. Now watch number 86, Calvin McGee, off of his break on the out. Does he indeed get tripped by number 47, Jim Bob Morris? There you saw him stumble down. Jim Bob steps in front and makes a nice interception. Tough to say. The officials didn't call it, and Jim Bob says, thank you very much for the interception.
In the meantime, Don Mikowski has run the ball 4 times today for a total of 33 yards. He's got his Packers marching. Ball 1 to 23, 1st and 10. And Mikowski, the handoff to Kenneth Davis. And Davis, good movement as he gets it down to the 15-yard line. Kenneth Davis with a good, nifty run. We're here at County Stadium in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I'm James Brown along with Dan Jiggetson. We've got a good ball game here. It's picked up a little more in the second quarter. A low-scoring game. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are leading it 3-0. You see the time remaining in the second quarter.
Key drive here, James, for Green Bay. They need a score now.
2nd and 2. And Mikowski, the handoff to Caruth. And Caruth with a pickup of a couple. And Danny, Green Bay has been fairly productive this season once they've gotten the ball in the red zone, if you will, inside the 20. They've connected on 13 of 15 possessions, scored on 13 of 15 times inside the 20.
That's what you call making the very best of a good situation. That's what you always want to have, those kinds of statistics inside the 20-yard line. Shows your productivity on offense. And there you can see it for yourself. 6 TDs and 7 field goals.
Probably a few more field goals than they would like. Ball on the 11. In motion, Philip Epps. The handoff to Kenneth Davis. And Davis juking his way down to the 5-yard line. Kenneth Davis, who rushed for 129 yards on 23 carries and 2 touchdowns last week against the Lions, moving very well now.
Bears have evened that score up. JB, when Kenneth Davis made that run, it looked like I-94 out here outside the stadium. He had a huge hole to run through. And you see New Orleans over Atlanta by 14. It's a bit of a surprise.
2nd and 4. Ball marked on the 5. In motion, Epps. The handoff again to Davis, and he's nailed in the backfield. Kenneth Davis with no gain that time, as Ron Holmes, who had himself a fine ball game last week against the Bears.
2.5 sacks against Jimbo Covert, and Jimbo's about the best around at offensive left tackle.
And Danny talking about a big play in the first half. This is it for the Packers, who are trying to get on the scoreboard as far as Greg looks on. 4 wide receivers in the game. 3rd and 4, ball marked on the 5. Mikowski out of the shotgun. Decides to keep it himself. He's hit and he loses the ball. And Tampa Bay recovers. Tampa Bay recovers at about the half-yard line as Don Mikowski was trying to keep it himself and take it in. He got hit hard. John Cannon.
Number 78, John Cannon out of William & Murray. Here you get a chance to see the play on you for yourself. Watch Don Mikowski try to set up a little bit of fake there. Quarterback draw, runs it up the middle, and boy, does he get drilled. And he gives up the ball. Now watch it rumbling around, heading towards the end zone, and there's a nice recovery by the Buccaneers.
And the Buccaneers defense rises to the occasion and stops Green Bay deep in their own territory. They still lead it 3-0. Impressive defensive stop by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They take the ball over deep in their own territory. Ball on a half-yard line. 4:13 remaining in the first half. And DeBerg hands it off to Bobby Howard. And Howard with maybe a 1-yard pickup, if that.
Another look at the fumble. This time, watch left side of your screen. Number 94, Mike Stensrud, makes the hit on Don Mikowski as he tries to run the quarterback draw. Slings him to the ground like a wet noodle. Don gives up the ball. Tampa Bay recovers, and they've got the ball now on about their 1-yard line.
Mikowski just a little too careless that time carrying the ball a la Walter Payton. Only a few can do that.
And look at Stensrud. Ooh!
2nd and 9. Ball marked on the 1-yard line. And DeBerg hands off to Jeff Smith. And again, the Bucks just can't create a big enough hole in that Packer line.
It's very tough to run down here because many times what you'll get from the defensive line is some slanting inside because they know you're not going to run a sweep down here. If you do, you may get trapped in your backfield for a safety, so you're pretty much committed to running it right up the middle. They start slanting those defensive ends in, and you can't get out of there.
Well, as a result, there was no gain on the play. That brings up a 3rd and 9 situation for the Bucks. 3 receivers into the game. Split wide to the right is Gene Taylor. To the left is Mark Carrier. And the referee stops the play.
Delay a game on the Buccaneers. And Steve DeBerg was really upset. I saw him slam the ball down on the ground. He could get another 5 inches.
Delay of game, offense, half the distance, still 3rd down.
I say 5 inches because they were only 10 inches out of the end zone anyway.
Must be a pretty frustrating situation for Steve DeBerg because he's been the model quarterback this year. And in order for him to be upset, must be tough. And they've got a tough situation ahead of him. 3rd and 10. Ball on the 1. 3 receivers still in for the Buccaneers. Gene Taylor wide right. DeBerg back to pass. Goes up top looking for Carrier. And it's incomplete. As Dave Brown, the veteran, 13-year veteran, provided the coverage.
And Mark Carrier, number 89, did everything he could to try to catch that ball from the end zone. Watch on the left side of your screen. You see Steve DeBerg dropping back. Mark Carrier is going to be right down the left sideline. And now watch as Mark Carrier tries to bobble the ball a little bit, trying to grab a hold of it. Dave Brown, number 32, makes an excellent defensive play and knocks the ball out of bounds away from Carrier.
Frank Garcia, again, having to provide the big foot. And gets it away. Not a great kick. As Walter Stanley lets it roll around. And it's finally down at about the 38-yard line. Dan Turk down in for the Buccaneers as Ray Perkins has to be a little concerned about his Bucks' inability to get something going.
But one of the things that they've done there is they've given themselves another opportunity for the defense to come out and prove themselves once more. They can stop the Packers here, deny them that 3 points from the field goal. They've really done a great job.
Next Saturday, CBS Sports present expert commentators. That's next week, next Saturday at 2 o'clock right here on CBS. Mikowski back to pass, under pressure, sacked. Chris Washington.
Flag on the play.
But there is a flag on the play.
Washington made the tackle.
Chris Washington's initial reaction was that he didn't like the fact that there was a flag on the play. Maybe someone stepped across the line a little bit too early. We'll get to see here in a minute.
Tampa Bay was hoping that they might be able to rattle Mikowski, even though he's not played like a rookie. They were hoping to still upset him. But that call is going to go against the Buccaneers.
Face mask, 5 yards on the man who sacked the quarterback. The penalty must return the ball to the previous spot. Line of scrimmage, still 1st down.
Now, he's got a better view than we have, and he says on the man who sacked the quarterback.
Lower part of your screen, number 51, Chris Washington there avoids one tackler and grabs Don Mikowski by the face mask. Inadvertent grab of the face mask, thereby only 5 yards on the penalty. Otherwise, it might have been 15.
1st and 10, ball on a 38. 3 receivers in for the Packers. Mikowski. And it's incomplete. Intended receiver was Philip Epps on the right side. So we're at the 2-minute warning of the first half. And the Packers trying to get on the scoreboard. They trail by 3.
The 2-minute warning.
So it's been the foot of Donald Igwe-Buike giving Tampa Bay the lead of only 3-0 over the Green Bay Packers. And this game here between the Packers and the Bucks is the first game of a doubleheader today here on CBS. Following us, many of you will see the Minnesota versus Seattle game. Others will see Detroit versus Denver. And coming up at the half, Brent Musburger and Herb Cross in our New York studio. They'll bring you up to date on all the happenings around the NFL today. It's NFL Today with Brent Musburger and Herb Cross. 2 minutes remaining in the first half here. Packers with the ball on their 38-yard line. Make it the Bucks' 38-yard line. Mikowski back to pass. Incomplete as Don Anderson with good coverage.
Don Anderson coming on the play.
Nickelback situation. Don Anderson comes in, makes a beautiful reach-in play there. denies the receiver the opportunity to even see the ball. He's another one of those young defensive backs that the Buccaneers have got playing in their secondary. He's out of Purdue 2 years.
And here's the story of the day for the Packers. Each time in striking distance, they've had to get rid of the ball 3 times, and then they lost it once on a fumble. 4 receivers in for the Packers. 3rd down and 10, ball on the 38.
Flags on the play.
And flags everywhere.
12 start, 75 offense.
Well, that against the Packers.
James, as an offensive tackle, you know you've got a tough position, particularly left tackle with Ken Rutgers is playing. You've got to get back off to that line of scrimmage very quickly because you're getting a real hard rush from the blind side of the quarterback. Sometimes you anticipate the snap a little bit and get back too quickly. Forrest Gregg says he feels Ken Rutgers, number 75, is probably his best offensive lineman right now.
That brings up a 3rd and 15. Still 4 wideouts in for the Packers. Mikowski out of the shotgun. Flags on the play again. And Mikowski was looking deep for Keith Pasquette. Incomplete. But again, there are flags on the play.
And there's also some disagreements down there. Number 72, Tom Neville, is mad at somebody. Oh, and Ron Holmes. Oh, okay. Well, let's keep an eye on that matchup for this passing down. That'd make it a little interesting over there. So Tom is not going to back down from anybody. That's the way they teach offensive linemen, particularly at Fresno State. He's 6'5", 306. I don't think he's going to back down from anyone on the field.
Not at 306. He doesn't have to back down from anyone. Just take a look at Ron Holmes.
The Packers bring in Tom.
Illegal formation. Only 6 men on the line of scrimmage. Number 73 was in the backfield. Penalty declined. 4th down.
Actually, Ron Holmes was not supposed to see much action today as he suffered a bruised knee in the game last week against the Bears. And Coach Forrest Gregg said that if Holmes did play today, that his left tackle, Ken Rutgers, would certainly have his hands full. That would be a key matchup. Back deep for the Bucs, Bobby Futrell. Kicking once again, Don Bracken for the Packers. And Bracken gets away a high, good one.
Oh, nice kick, nice kick. Put some English on it. Stopped it right there on the 5.
Takes a Green Bay bounce and is down at about the 5-yard line.
There you can see the score, James. One of the most important things that happened on that series of downs was we said before they started that if Tampa Bay could stop Green Bay from getting a score out of there, it would be a key setup for their defense. Now, offensively, they got the ball back on the 5-yard line, could run out the clock for the half, and quite possibly try to get down and get a field goal.
Well, both teams in good shape timeout-wise. We'll see how Green Bay handles theirs as they've got the Buccaneers penned deep again. Ball on the 5-yard line. 1st and 10 for the Bucs. DeBerg hands off to Bobby Howard. And Howard,
the ball carrier.
1, maybe 2.
Noble made the initial contact.
Ryan Noble on the stop.
I would see the Buccaneers in this situation coming with a pass, maybe a 3-step drop pass, dumping it off, trying to read that get that tight end open down underneath, right by the middle linebackers. Those are the kinds of things that work down here. The sweeps don't work quite as well for you because they take too long to develop coming out of the backfield.
It'll be 2nd and 8. Ball is marked on the 8. In motion, Gerald Carter. The handoff goes to Jeff Smith. And Smith, powering on the left side of the line, make that Bobby Howard.
Two things.
On the left side of the line.
The Tampa Bay Buccaneers should be using timeouts here if they want to. Green Bay should be trying to use timeouts here. He does indeed. The other thing is Tampa Bay should not be trying to run sweeps down here. It doesn't work for him.
As Willie Pete and Ray Perkins on the sidelines, not a very happy man. As a matter of fact, he had his game face on yesterday. Wasn't pleased with the fact that they lost against the Bears, and he can't be very pleased that his team is not being very productive in the first half of today's game.
Well, I'm sure he's pleased with what his defense has been able to do. His offense, however, has not been quite as productive as he would like.
3rd and 6. Ball on the 10. DeBerg back to pass, and is batted down. Batted down by Robert Brown, his 2nd knockdown today. Robert Brown. Big fella, 6'2", 267.
The Packers are coming on a game here. You'll see number 93, Robert Brown there, make his move back inside, realizes that he can't get the quarterback, so he plays center field and just swats it down with those big mitts. Almost caught the ball.
Punting for Tampa Bay, Frank Garcia again. Walter Stanley. Back for the Packers. Loses the ball and falls on top of it. And Stanley, he and Dan Turk have had a few words.
And little Walter at 5'9" is going to run after Dan Turk, who's 6'4" and about 260 or 270.
Well, that's one thing that the Packers like about him. He does have heart.
Now, what he does, he relaxes a little bit on the punt here. You can see him getting a little bit relaxed there and a little calm. It bounces off of his chest, and he's smart enough and quick enough to turn around and recover it. And there you see Dan Turk laying it on his back.
38-yard punt by Frank Garcia.
But in that mud, Dan Turk really couldn't stop in that situation.
Packers take it over at their own 47, 1st and 10. 38 seconds remaining in the first half. Mikowski back to pass. Under pressure again. He decides to take it. And Mikowski is stopped by Bobby Kemp at the 29-yard line. The clock's still running. Four wideouts in. Mikowski out of the shotgun. And it's incomplete. Intended receivers Frankie Neal with 6 seconds remaining in the first half.
2-minute drill. Don Mikowski's getting a lot of time from his offensive line. Now they're going to come in and try the long field goal.
And attempting the field goal for Green Bay will be Al Del Greco.
Al Del Greco will attempt the kick.
He's a young man that made the 45-yarder last week against the Lions. They won it for the Packers.
James, I feel that the Green Bay Packers have misused their timeouts all along in this drive. They could have saved at least 20 seconds on the drive. Now Forrest is saying, why did you call the timeout now?
Danny, you mentioned a real misuse of timeouts. Why do you think so?
Well, I think that when you're in a situation where you're passing like that, you've got to use your timeouts productively. If you feel that you can't get to the ball fast enough, don't save them for the end of the half because they're not going to do you any good. Then use them while your people are running up to the line of scrimmage. You can reset the offense, get another play in, and quite possibly make it a better one. Now you see Green Bay with no timeouts, Tampa Bay with 3 remaining, but with 6 seconds, it doesn't make any difference.
And Forrest Gregg still arguing his case. And the bottom line is that he's out of timeouts, and with 6 seconds left, Al Del Greco, 4th-year player from Auburn, will come on to attempt the field goal. It'll be a 47-yard field goal attempt by Al Del Greco. As I mentioned, he was one that had the game winner last week against the Lions, a 45-yarder. And it's up. And it's no good. So Al Del Greco misses a 47-yard field goal attempt.
And keep in mind now the Green Bay Packers still have Max Zendejas in camp. I'm sure that's weighing heavily on Al Del Greco's mind. He was the kicker during the replacement games for the Packers.
There was an opportunity for the Packers to tie the game here in the first half, and that opportunity is blown as Ray Perkins gets his thoughts together for his halftime chat with the Bucs. And you mentioned Max Zendejas here, and certainly that was a good bit of pressure weighing on Al Del Greco, who watched the kind of success that Max had during the replacement games as he went 7 of 7. So the Packers will go into the locker room at the halftime down by 3 to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And that's the end of the first half with the score: Tampa Bay 3, Green Bay 0. And again, a very sluggish first half for both teams, and as a result, Tampa Bay only enjoys a 3-point lead. We'll be back. And Dan, you talked about how improved a defensive team Tampa Bay is. They've improved markedly from last year.
And there you see them leading in giveaway takeaway category for the whole league. You see Pittsburgh, Miami, New England right after them. And down below them, on 9th place is Green Bay. Tampa Bay has been doing an exceptional job, though, picking off the ball and getting those fumbles, recovering those fumbles.
To embellish that point a bit more, Tampa Bay's defense was 28th in the league last year, and they moved up. They're number 5 in the NFL this year.
Credit some of that to Doug Graber, their defensive coordinator, who coached here in Wisconsin at the University of Wisconsin for 4 years. He's really done a tremendous job with that defense.
Green Bay will be kicking off in the second half. Al Del Greco will be kicking off back deep. For Tampa Bay will be Bobby Futrell. And Del Greco certainly hoping that he can get an opportunity to make amends for his missed field goal in the first half. So the second half is underway. Futrell takes it on the 9. And Bobby Futrell is down across the 25-yard line. There is a flag on the play. Kelly Cook is in on the stop. And Gordon McCarter will have the call here. As I mentioned, there is a flag on the play.
Holding number 80 on the receiving team during the return. 10-yard penalty from the dead ball spot. First down.
And number 80 on the receiving team is Steve Holloway. So Tampa Bay starting back 5 yards shorter than they should have been. Make that 10 yards. Ball is marked on the 16. First down and 10. Steve DeBerg at the helm. And out of the backfield, running strong, is Jeff Smith. And Smith gets the ball back up to about the 21-yard line. On the stop for Green Bay is Mark Murphy. And that says it all there. Tampa Bay does not have the greatest field position. Smith again. As he bulls his way around the left side of the line. Jeff Smith again, stopped this time by Ken Stills of the Packers. Are you surprised at all to see that Tampa Bay is running the ball more?
Well, defensively, this may be why. Look at number 91 there. You see Brian Noble. He's staggered with actually number 50, Johnny Holland. And maybe the reason why he's staggered, he's back off the line of scrimmage a little bit more, is because Johnny Holland has a bit more speed than Brian. But Brian is able to come around and meet those sweeps a little bit better. He is 250 pounds.
Tampa Bay not showing as much passing as far as Greg expected. In motion, Jeff Smith. Ball on the 23. DeBerg back to pass. Across the middle to Calvin McGee. And McGee takes it across the 30-yard line. And the big fella really is moving quite well. Stopped by Mark Murphy.
Murphy made the tackle.
James, Calvin McGee, when Jimmy Giles was traded, everyone said, what in the world are the Buccaneers doing? They're losing their best tight end. But they knew what this guy, Calvin McGee, could do. He got in great shape this offseason, came back ready, and there's the results of it. You know, suddenly those outside linebackers can't keep up with him. He's slim and trim at 240.
Ball on the 35, first and 10 for the Buccaneers. Out of the pro set, DeBerg back to pass. And across the middle, the intended receiver was James Wilder, as he was tripped up at about the line of scrimmage, and DeBerg again was operating under a lot of pressure.
Forrest Gregg told us that number 93, Robert Brown, that man is one of those kind of quiet players. You don't really notice how much he's doing until you look at the film on Monday. In that case, he rushed in on Steve DeBerg, beat Rob Taylor late on the play, and got a nice bump on the quarterback. Watch him. Right, come in on the inside move there. He comes after Steve DeBerg, and boy, does he put him on the ground.
Second and 10, in motion, Jeff Smith. DeBerg back to pass. Has time. Goes across the middle and finds Carrier. And Mark Carrier
made the reception.
Moves Tampa Bay up across the 45-yard line. And Danny, as I watched the official try to mark the ball, he slipped on the field, kind of underscoring the point that you made earlier about these poor field conditions out there. And he's walking.
Yeah, and right in the middle of that field, they've got a little strip there that's been worn out. Talking to the groundskeeper here, Harry Gill, he said that when they played Denver here, they really wore out the middle of the field because it started raining. And there's a prime example of it there.
First and 10, ball on the 47. In motion, Gerald Carter. The toss back goes to Smith. And Smith with a good hold on the right side of that line, as Tampa Bay is putting together a good drive on this series here.
James, this play, sweep, both guards pulling out. There you see number 66 and 68, Mallory there. They let that one back go in, the linebacker go in. They take it up the middle, and it's a really nice hole left for Jeff Smith, number 35. Green Bay apparently susceptible to sweeps outside, not far outside, but inside the receiver and the offensive tackle.
2nd and 2. DeBerg back to pass. Looking to the side for Carrier, and it's complete as Mark Carrier holds on to the ball in traffic. As a matter of fact, Ray Perkins said one of the things he likes about this young man, Mark Carrier, the rookie out of Nicholls State, is that he reminds him of John Jefferson with his ability to catch the ball in traffic.
And concentrate when he knows he's going to get hit. You're going to see number 29, Ken Stills, come up here and put a shot on him that will sometimes, if you're 5'10", it'll make you 5'7". Mark Carrier's head shot back on the impact of the blow, but he's back up and back at it.
Good drive for the Bucks here. James Wilder cuts back, takes it across the 15-yard line down to about the 10. James Wilder with his best run yet as he's stopped by Johnny Holland.
Now that looked like the James Wilder of old, just bullying over people. Big, strong, rumbling back. Watch him make his move. Can't go outside on the sweep. Turns back, cuts it back inside against the pursuit. Jumps over a couple of tacklers there, and then now starts running through the defense like a hot knife through butter. Those are the kinds of things that James Wilder has traditionally done.
And again, an important series for the Buccaneers. They're inside the red zone. Ball is marked on the 10-yard line. In motion is Gerald Carter. DeBerg, the handoff. Goes to Wilder again, and Wilder bulls his way down to near the 2-yard line. And an important series, as I mentioned before, because coming into today's game, the Bucks have been very productive inside the red zone as well, connecting and scoring 13 of the 15 times inside that area.
What has to happen down here for you as an offensive, you got to taste the end zone. You got to want it so bad that you're going to say to yourselves, no one is going to deny me from getting in that end zone. That's the kind of attitude you have to carry down here.
2nd and 2. And Green Bay calls timeout.
It appeared that they were running out of time. There was 9 seconds left on the 30-second clock when they came to the line of scrimmage.
Well, James Wilder certainly getting his legs about himself in the second half, and I would have to think that Coach Ray Perkins of the Bucks had an awfully spirited talk with his Tampa Bay team in the locker room at halftime. Steve DeBerg over talking with Ray Perkins. And again, DeBerg has got to be awfully pleased with the caliber of this drive here. 9 plays, 82 yards, 4 minutes and 56 seconds, and they've got the ball down on the 2-yard line of Green Bay.
They did it, everything you want to do in a drive. 9 plays, used up a lot of the clock, almost 5 minutes. Those are the kind of drives you love to have. And the last thing is to cap it all off as you put it in the end zone for 6 points.
Keeping good control of the ball is something that Tampa Bay did very well last week against the Chicago Bears. Indeed, they controlled the ball 35 of the 60 minutes of that game. So certainly they've improved considerably in that category. As you mentioned, important that they come away with the score here.
Speaking of the Bears, they're still losing to the Kansas City Chiefs. It's a very surprising score. Chiefs being 1-5 and the Bears 5-1.
Pittsburgh on top. And New Orleans blanking Atlanta. Tampa Bay, 2nd down and 2. The handoff to Smith. And Smith goes up top, inching closer to the goal line.
James Wilder did something great on that play as well. He threw a key block in the middle of the line of scrimmage that really, we can hear it all the way up here in the press box. And that's unselfishness by a player. Now watch, the first back that you're going to see coming through the hole is number 32, James Wilder, and the stick was loud and it was hard. There you see him putting that shoulder in there, stopping Brian Noble, number 91, and allowing Jeff Smith to get over top of the pile.
And the measurement will take place to see if Tampa Bay has gotten the first down, and indeed they do. So it's 1st and goal for Tampa Bay. They'll have 4 tries at it to get it in the end zone. So take a look at other scores around the league. Raiders lost that lead. New England on top by 4. Eric Dickerson again in uniform for Indianapolis. Washington moves out by 17 over Buffalo. Jay Schrader had a 7-yard run in that game. So it's first and goal to go for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. 9:33 remaining in the third quarter. And Cliff Austin goes up top.
Smith for the touchdown.
Or make that Smith. And it is indeed a touchdown for Tampa Bay. Jeff Smith going up top to score the first touchdown of the game. Tampa Bay takes the lead.
From ground level, you're going to see him, simple dive play, just get airborne and get in the end zone, and that's what number 35, Jeff Smith, does. He gets a little air up underneath of those feet, actually, and gets in the end zone. Not bad, Jeff.
Igwe Wike with the PAT. It's up, and it's good.
The kick is good.
So Tampa Bay moves out in front for the first time. Make that, they expand that lead to 10-0 over Green Bay. Bay expands its lead over Green Bay by 10, and Danny James Wilder again doing a nice job to set up Jeff Smith.
And he meets Brian Noble, number 91, again right in the hole, and again does a great job. Brian's airborne as well as Jeff Smith. Jeff gets in for the touchdown. 10-0 Tampa Bay.
Take a look at Dan Turk, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, to the left there. And this scoring drive of 84 yards is the second scoring drive of over 80 yards by the Bucs. A low squiggly kick picked up by Paulot Carruth, and Carruth is still on his feet. And there is a flag on the play as Carruth is dropped at about the 33-yard line. And a correction, that 84-yard scoring drive by the Bucs was their second of the season of 80 yards or more. Gordon McCarter has been pretty busy today.
He sure has. There's another a holding penalty there. James, this possession is important for Green Bay for a lot of reasons.
Illegal block from behind, number 47, receiving team during the return. 10-yard penalty, first down.
As our guy Jim Bob Morris. Hey, James, this series is important for Green Bay. They've got to get a score on this drive, setting them up for that second half comeback. They need it desperately right now. If you let Tampa Bay come back, get another score, suddenly you need 2 touchdowns at least to get into the game.
Don Mikowski having a tough day passing wise, 4 of 11 for only 43 yards, starting on his own 23. And the handoff to Kenneth Davis, and Davis is wrapped up in the backfield.
Number 78, John Cannon, broke through the line of scrimmage and brought the running back down inside the backfield. Now here, another chance to see John Cannon, number 78. He's over the backside of the plate, avoids the cut block, and he's on the back. Kenneth Davis like a cheap suit. John Cannon is one of those players that Ray Perkins said plays every down.
You talk about the improvement from last season to this. That tells a story right there. A jump from last place to 5th in the NFL for the Tampa Bay Bucs. Brings up 2nd and 11 for the Packers. Out of the pro set. Mikowski back to pass. And Mikowski has the ball knocked loose, but it's recovered. And it's knocked loose again. And a flag on the play. So some sloppy action down here.
James, that was a great rush by John Cannon. John Cannon got a hand on Don Mikowski's throwing hand just as he's getting ready to release. That caused the fumble, and that caused the ensuing chase for the ball.
Tampa Bay recovered the ball. Personal foul, number 57, Green Bay. 5 yards, half the distance from the dead ball. First down.
Well, the personal foul was on Rich Moran, number 57 of Green Bay, and that gives Tampa Bay the ball in great territory.
Rich Moran actually recovered the fumble by Don Mikowski. Watch, left side of the offensive line, number 57, Rich Moran, does a good job there on Ron Holmes. Number 78, John Cannon with a sack there. Don Mikowski gives up the ball. There you see Moran pick it up. He's going to try to run with it, but he also fumbles the ball. He got it stripped. Offensive linemen are not used to carrying the football. Tampa Bay recovers, number 94, Mike Stensrud. The Bucs have it on the 5-yard line.
With 2 receivers to the left. Carrier and Carter for the Bucs. DeBerg. Touchdown, Tampa Bay to Gerald Carter. And Steve DeBerg strikes quickly as he finds Gerald Carter going across the middle in the end zone, and Tampa Bay starts to expand that lead.
James, we said at the top of this series that this was an important series for Green Bay to be successful on and get a score out of it. They did not, and indeed gave Tampa Bay a score. And now the result is they need at least 2 touchdowns to get back in the ball game. From the end zone, Steve DeBerg, he looks to his left, and he finds Mark Carrier coming across the middle. Touchdown.
Igwe with the PAT, and it's good. So Tampa Bay increases their lead to 17 over Green Bay with 8:21 remaining in the third. And it was that effort that put them in good scoring position here.
John Cannon strips the ball away from Don Mikowski. Rich Moran tries to pick it up and run with it, but he's got the gloves on. Now, John Cannon strips the ball again. This time he strips it from Rich Moran and allows Mike Stenzer. Did you see the ball flying in the air? Number 94, Mike Stenzer recovers it, and he does a smart thing. He just rolls on the ground.
And, of course, Steve DeBerg capitalized on that with the touchdown pass to Gerald Carter. Donald Igwe will be kicking off. Back deep for the Packers is Brent Fullwood and Kelly Cook. And Kelly Cook tries to find the handle on the ball. And the ball goes out of bounds with Kelly Cook trying to find the handle. The ball goes out of bounds at the 1-yard line of Green Bay. So Tampa Bay coming out playing some inspired football in the second half.
Kelly Cook trying to catch that squib kick. Squib kicks on this kind of turf are very difficult to pick up. And now you see him chasing the ball back to the goal line. He knows he's got to pick it up. It's a live football. If Tampa Bay recovers it, they've got the ball down there where it's at. And now it slips out of bounds right on the line of scrimmage, on the sideline. You saw the official standing right there, able to make the call. There's Willie Pete, the special teams coach, having a little bit of a talk with Kelly Cook.
I wonder how much, again, that poor field condition came into play over there that you talked about before. So Green Bay will take over with the ball on their own 1-yard line. Mikowski back to pass, slipping in the end zone. Goes up for Philip Epps, and it's complete. And a flag on the play as Philip Epps catches the ball complete.
Philip Epps stepped out of bounds on his route, I believe, and that's why the flag was thrown. Let's see what the call is, though. I may be wrong. I believe he may have been pushed out of bounds on the play, but let's see.
Number 85, the receiver, went out of bounds, came back in, and was first to touch the pass. The penalty for which is lost it down at the previous spot.
That's a no-can-do. Once you go out of bounds, if you're a receiver, you cannot come back in and catch the football. That's what Philip Epps did. You got to be careful when you're tight-roping it along the sidelines.
Philip Epps trying to pull all kinds of tricks out to see if, in fact, he can work it out. But the bottom line is that it's an incomplete pass for Green Bay. That'll bring up 2nd and 10. Ball on the 1-yard line of Green Bay. Wide to the right, Walter Stanley. Mikowski. And the handoff as Green Bay tries to run the ball and bull it up forward, close to maybe about the 4-yard line. Looked to be Jesse Clark, the ball carrier. As far as Greg searching, I'm sure, as much as possible to find out, come up with some kind of an answer.
He's looking
to get back into this game.
Forrest Gregg is looking for a little magic right now, and he needs some of that magic out of his quarterback, number 5, Don Mikowski. Had a great week last week, but you know, in this league, every week you got to come back out and prove yourself worthy of the position.
Brings up a 3rd and 8. Tampa Bay with the ball on their own 3. 7:28 remaining in the third quarter. Mikowski back to pass. Looking deep for Walter Stanley. And Stanley well covered that time by Rod Jones, as Walter Stanley shows the frustration of good coverage by Rod Jones. So Green Bay will be put into the position again of having to get rid of the ball.
Now, James, this is a situation that Ray Perkins talked about, learning that killer instinct. Do the Buccaneers have a killer instinct? They've got Green Bay down now. Do they put them away, or do they allow them to get back into the football game?
And that indeed was a problem last week with the Chicago Bears. Don Bracken back to punt the ball for Green Bay. Bobby Futrell back deep for the Bucs. Futrell takes it on the 45. And Bobby Futrell is knocked out of bounds. A 42-yard punt by Don Bracken returned to the 35-yard line. Green Bay will take over.
Johnson made the tackle.
In Milwaukee at County Stadium, overcast and cloudy in more ways than one, as the Green Bay Packers find themselves trailing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers by the score of 17-0. 7:10 remaining in the third quarter. I'm James Brown along with Dan Jiggets. Tampa Bay taking over with the ball on the 35, the Packer 35, as number 35, Jeff Smith, is carrying the ball. And Danny, looking at the kind of exuberant play that the Buccaneers are showing in the second half, I got to believe that Ray Perkins had a little something strong to say at halftime.
I call Ray Perkins Steely Blue because of those blue eyes. You've got to believe that he went in at halftime and told everybody, okay, guys, I'm going to check your hearts now. I'm going to see what you're made of. Second half, who's going to play hard, who's not. And you know he means it when he says he can get somebody else back in there to play for you.
Jeff Smith in motion, that is DeBerg back to pass, and he's sacked. Steve DeBerg is sacked by number 97, Tim Harris.
Harris on the sack.
Green Bay, realizing that they've got to get pressure on the quarterback, have decided to send those outside linebackers. Right side of your screen, number 97, stand-up outside linebacker, Tim Harris. He comes in on the blitz. James Wilder tries to take him on, but he's outweighed by at least 30 pounds. Harris runs right over him and right over Steve DeBerg.
And that's the first time that Steve DeBerg has gone down today. Brings up a 3rd and 16. Ball on the 41. Out of the shotgun with 3 receivers in for the Bucs. DeBerg goes up top, and his intended receiver was Mark Carrier, but there is a flag on the play.
You know, if Steve DeBerg was able to get the ball off on a tight spiral like that, chances are he was hit late. And it appears that that's a reaction out of the Packers. They can't believe it.
Alfonso Carricker trying to plead his case.
Personal foul, roughing the passer. Number 50 defense, go to the first.
And number 50 is Johnny Holland, the rookie out of Texas A&M.
James, sometimes you can get away with getting a little bit of a late shot on the quarterback. The key is here, number 50, Johnny Holland, wraps Steve DeBerg in the face. That's what you can't do. There you see him there, look like a knockout punch by Mike Tyson. Can't do that, Johnny. They had gotten away with one of those plays earlier in the game, and this time the officials decide, hey, enough is enough. 15 yards.
Or as Greg said, we hear a lot about Johnny Holland in the future, but certainly he didn't want us to hear about him that way, as Tampa Bay gets the ball on the Packer 26, and the handoff goes to Wilder, and Wilder pushing straight ahead. You know, Tampa Bay has never scored more than 14 points in the third quarter, and they're certainly trying to exceed that in this quarter here. They're down near that red zone again.
Well, barring any mistakes by them in terms of turnovers, it certainly appears that they're at least in field goal territory, close enough for Donald Igwe to get in and get the field goal. And I'll just call him Iggy from now on because I cannot say his last name.
That'll be 2nd and 7 for the Bucs. In motion, Gerald Carter. The handoff goes to James Wilder, and Wilder trying to find a hole. There's a flag on the play as Wilder picks up maybe a yard. Brian Noble in on the stop. And the penalty is going to go against Tampa Bay.
Holding. Number 72 offense. 10-yard penalty, previous spot, repeat, second down.
And the guilty party. Rob Taylor, 6'6", 290 out of Northwestern.
James, what Green Bay is doing on defense is they're bringing 4 down linemen now. Weren't getting a lot of pressure with just the 3 down linemen in the 34 defense. Decided to go to the 4 big down linemen, and that has been bringing some pressure on the offensive line of Tampa Bay. Now I see they're back in their 34 defense, though.
Brings up a 2nd and 17 for the Bucs. Ball on the Packer 33. 2 receivers to the left. In motion, Gerald Carter. And the handoff to Jeff Smith. And Smith with not much of a pickup. Kansas City leading the Bears in the third quarter, 28-14. Philadelphia on top of St. Louis. Cincinnati has expanded their lead over the Oilers. And Pittsburgh, a surprising leader there in the AFC.
And New Orleans is just blowing away Atlanta.
Raiders having a tough time with the Patriots. 3rd and 15. 3 receivers in for the Bucs. Ball on the 31. And Green Bay clearly offsides as DeBerg goes through with it anyway. And it's incomplete. Intended target was Gerald Carter.
Steve DeBerg, veteran quarterback, using that snap count, hard snap count, bringing those defensive linemen offsides once again. He did it early in the first half.
Offside, number 61 defense. 5-yard penalty, repeat third down.
That's Jerry Boyarsky.
And he is right there looking at the quarterback. Now watch Steve DeBerg. Maybe you can see that head bobbing again, and he's giving that hard count. And boy, does it pull those defensive linemen off. They're supposed to watch the ball on the defensive line and not care about the cadence of the quarterback, but it's a tough thing to do when you get used to hearing that snap count very quickly.
3rd and 10.
Penalties have really killed Green Bay. Everything is going wrong for them. 3rd and 10. Ball on the 26. 3 receivers in for Tampa Bay.
3 receivers in, and what Green Bay was doing on defense, they're putting number 97, Tim Harris, down in a defensive end position, getting 4 down rushmen instead of just the 3 in the 34 defense.
But for the more than 54,000 gathered on hand here at County Stadium, they haven't had much to cheer about. Their Packers looking awfully sluggish and emotionally flat, and that's a little surprising coming off of last week's victory.
And there's Steve DeBerg. They call him the teacher of the stars. You know, out in San Francisco, it was Montana. Comes to Denver, it's Elway. Now he goes back down to Tampa Bay, and it's Vinny Testaverde. The guy's got to be looking on his shoulder, over his shoulder. But hey, James, he may never give up the job. He's been dealt a hot hand this year, and boy, is he smoking.
Well, Testaverde certainly is a very smart young man, and he's been in a backup situation before. He had to sit behind a young man by the name of Bernie Kosar at Miami. And we talked to Mark Trestman, and he said that Testaverde is handling it just well. This telecast is presented by authority of the National Football League and is intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the Green Bay Packers and the National Football League is prohibited. 4:12 remaining in the 3rd quarter. Tampa Bay leading it by 17. Tampa Bay going for their 5th 3rd down conversion. 3 receivers in. DeBerg out of the shotgun. And DeBerg throws it complete to Gene Taylor. Make that Solomon Miller on the left sidelines. Solomon Miller, a replacement player.
James, we saw him late in preseason. He was with the New York Giants up until the last game of preseason, and then he got released and came down to the Buccaneers. Hopes to make a difference in that receiving corps. A young man out of Utah State. Now Donald Igwebuike will attempt the field goal.
This will be a 36-yard attempt. It's up. And it's good. So Donald Igwebuike making amends for that blocked PAT last week, boots Tampa Bay out in front by the score of 20-0. So a more inspired Tampa Bay Buccaneer team has a 20-0 lead over Green Bay. As you took a look at those 2 characters that were sitting up in the stands with those Halloween masks on, reminiscent of our producer and director, Bob Monsbach and Bob Matina. 2 scary characters indeed. And Donald Igwebuike breaks the team record for most points by a kicker. The old record was 196 points by Bill Capice. And Buike boots this one as Brent Forwood takes it on the 4. Across the 20 to about the 27-yard line. Brent Forwood. Coming up at the conclusion of this game will be the 2nd game of our doubleheader today. Most of you will see Minnesota taking on the Seattle Seahawks, while others will see the Lions and the Broncos doing battle. That'll be coming your way in the second half.
That Minnesota game takes on a lot of importance for the Central Division. And there you see a new quarterback for the Green Bay Packers, number 16, Randy Wright. He's been schooled by Forrest Gregg already on what to do, and now let's see if he can go to work.
And he was met with a chorus of boos by the fans here in County Stadium. Ball on the 27, 1st and 10 for the Packers with 3 receivers in. Wright, back to pass. Complete to the sidelines. Kenneth Davis out of the backfield.
See how quickly they can turn back. Now they're cheering for him.
And it was good enough for the 1st down.
1st down for the Packers.
Kenneth Davis going to be coming on the left side of your screen. He runs an out route out of the backfield. He is wide open on the play, and Randy Wright makes an excellent read, finds him out, coming underneath the coverage. He's got a nice catch and gets out of bounds. James, let's think back. Last week, Tampa Bay up 20-0, lost the football game to the Chicago Bears. Let's see what they do in this series.
Ball on the 39, 1st and 10 for the Packers. In motion, Jesse Clark to Kenneth Davis, and Davis is roped up in the backfield. Give the credit to Irving Randall, and Irving Randall is the young man who folks say he loves to hit.
Irving Randall. Watch this play. Left side of your screen, you're going to see Irving Randall read the play right away. He knows that Randy Wright's dumping it off to Kenneth Davis, number 36. He plays off the block there by Tom Neville and makes an excellent stop. James, Jeff Davis, the inside linebacker for the Buccaneers, was telling us a story about Irving Randall. Said Richard Dent knocked him down on the ground when they were playing the Bears, and all of a sudden he became a talker.
2nd and 10, ball on the 39. Wright, back to pass. Complete to Walter Stanley. And Stanley, with the juke moves, gets the 1st down. And Walter Stanley is a young man who is respected around the league as being extremely dangerous after he's caught the ball, if only because he has the flashy moves.
He has the flashy moves, and he has a great deal of foot speed. He's probably as fast as Philip Epps, who some people say is the fastest man in the NFL. Walter Stanley's right up there with him. Out of Mesa College, a real find by Charlie Armey of the scouting staff of the Green Bay Packers.
1st and 10 for the Pack. On the move. Ball on the 50. Out of the pro set, Randy Wright moving the Packers. And the pitch goes to Jesse Clark. And Clark, again, roped in the backfield by Irvin Randall. For an NFL update, let's go to New York. And Packers are on the move here, trying to eat into a 20-0 deficit. Randy Wright is the quarterback now for the Packers. He's got him on the march. 2nd and 10, ball on the 50. 3 receivers in for the Packers. Wright back to pass. Complete to the big tight end, Ed West. And West pulling his way forward. 6'1", 243 pounds, the 4th-year player out of Auburn, as Bobby Kemp runs him out of bounds.
Ed West is a big, strong tight end. Coming your way out of the left side of your screen, makes an out move there. Bobby Kemp is playing back in the zone. He's got to come up and cover number 86, Ed West, and Ed West gives him a $5 cab ride to the ground. The Green Bay Packers are taking everything that the Tampa Bay defense is giving them. They're playing a little soft. Green Bay says, that's fine with me. Randy Wright's going to get anything he can underneath.
And Wright is moving the team well. In motion, Philip Epps. Wright, play action. Complete to Jesse Clark out of the backfield, and Randy Wright, looking for an opportunity to get back in there and impress, has done so in this first drive that he's had control of the team.
Same thing happened to Tampa Bay last week, playing that zone defense, dropping off, getting soft in the secondary. Randy Wright says, hey, I know what I can do, just like Jim McMahon. I'm going to go underneath of my running backs, keep my tight end short, and run him to the sideline. That's what can be successful against the zone defense.
Wright, in his 4th season out of Wisconsin, 6'2", 203. A pickup of 7 on that play. 2nd and 3. Ball on the 30. And Wright, the handoff to Clark. And Clark looks to be close to the 1st down yardage with that drive there.
Packers tried to run a little cross block over on the left side of the offensive line, switching up the tackle and the tight end. That time didn't really work for a lot of yardage, but it kind of sets everything up for you when you want to run a little play action over there.
County Stadium in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, home as well of the Milwaukee Brewers. And what do you like to do in Milwaukee? Wet the taste buds.
The city that made beer famous.
That's for you. Thank you very much, sir. You didn't care.
Well, I'm sure they've stayed awfully busy up to this point, given that the Packers haven't provided them with much action. But that may be changing as Randy Wright has got the Packers on the move. Wright is 5 of 5, 5 for 5.
Little liquid libation there, your favorite beverage. Take it on back to your seat.
Well, perhaps that will inspire them to do a little more cheering if the Packers, in fact, can give them something to cheer about. A 3rd and 1 situation. Ball on the 28. Paul Caruth in motion. And Wright with the keeper.
It's good for first down yardage. Randy knew that he only had to get about a half a yard. Decided to wedge right, and that's when he got it.
And this, without a doubt, has been the most effective drive of the second half for the Green Bay Packers. 9 plays, 44 yards, a minute and 25 seconds. And Forrest Gregg, feeling that he needed a change, got Randy right in there, and it's paying dividends thus far.
Earlier we asked, what did Ray Perkins say to the Buccaneers? You can imagine what Forrest Gregg said to his Packers when they were down 20-0.
First and 10, ball on the 27. Right, back to pass. Looking for Walter Stanley. And just off the fingertips of Walter Stanley.
Walter Stanley, a victim of the field on that cut. Cutting out, trying to run the out route, slipped down in the bad turf over on the far side of the field and was not able to make the reception. There you see number 72, Tom Neville. Occasionally they will bring him in. He's kind of like their pass protection offensive lineman. He does an extremely good job at pass protection, and as a result, Forrest rotates him in.
Walter Stanley wide to the left. Phillip Epps to the right. Kenneth Davis in the up back position. Right, back to pass on 2nd and 10. Looking for Stanley again. This time he's got it. Complete to Walter Stanley. Down inside the 10-yard line. And Walter Stanley, as we mentioned before, is the kind of guy who's not afraid to come back in that huddle and say, throw me the ball, I want it.
He's a greedy man, and here he's working against number 22, Rod Jones. Rod gives him about a 10-yard cushion, allows him to close too close on him. He can't react to the play. Walter runs the out and makes a nice reception here, scooping it up off the ground.
But Walter Stanley felt that he could blow by Rod Jones, feeling that Jones was playing a little too flat-footed. And it's 3rd and goal to go for the Packers. The referees are looking over something down there.
Appears they may be replaying that last reception by Walter Stanley just to see if indeed he did catch it.
We're back in action here.
And you see the replay officials, Dick
Chuck
Maxwell
Heberlin.
and Chuck Heberlin.
And Chuck Heberlin, of course, he still is officiating. 1st and goal, ball on the 9, in motion, Epps. A handoff to Davis. And Davis tries to turn the corner, but is met head-on by Rod Jones. And Rod Jones is only 6 feet, 175 pounds, as he knocked into the Kenneth Davis at 5'10", 209.
Kenneth Davis scored off of that play, I believe, in the Detroit game. You know, he comes back and cuts down the left sideline in the Detroit game. Same kind of play. That time he was not able to turn the corner.
Second and goal. Ball is marked on the 8-yard line. 3 receivers in for the Packers. In motion is Davis. And right, with plenty of time, Walter Stanley was open in the back of the end zone, but Danny, again, the field conditions that you talked about, Stanley slipped and he was wide open.
Came back to haunt Green Bay. Watch Walter Stanley working from the outside on the left side, makes his move on Rod Jones, comes across the middle, running the post pattern. He's wide open, hands up, signaling Randy Wright, and now watch him slip in all of that mud down there right under the goal post, and Green Bay misses a key opportunity to score a touchdown and get back in this ball game. And then you see the officials' feet down in that water. I walked the field earlier, and believe me, it's about 2 inches of water down there.
On 3rd and 8, Green Bay with 4 wideouts in. And the referees stop the action. Referees timeout. Yeah, they could, in fact, use a lawnmower out there, well, a little dirt.
They want to drain the swamp. It is kind of swampy down there underneath of that goal post.
Still be 3rd and goal. Ball on the 8. 11 seconds remaining in the 3rd quarter. Green Bay looking for its first touchdown. 4 wideouts in. Randy Wright at quarterback. Out of the shotgun. And Wright looking the back of the end zone. It's complete, but out of bounds as Frankie Neal hauled in the Randy Wright pass, but he was out of the end zone.
Frankie Neal, a rookie out of Fort Hays State. One of the problems with rookies is that sometimes they lose perspective on where the back of the end zone is. Randy Wright overthrew it just a little bit also. But now, watch him. Underneath, number 80. That's number 87. Excuse me, Walter Stanley there on the cut. And he was wide open as well. But now we're going to get to see Frankie Neal back of the end zone. Let's see him backing up, and he backs straight out of the end zone. Got to stand on the back of the end zone, jump up as high as you can, and try to catch the ball. Don't keep backing up all the way out of bounds.
A 26-yard field goal attempt by Al Del Greco. It's up, and it's good. So Al Del Greco boots it good, but there is a flag on the play. And it goes against Green Bay. And Forrest Gregg, that position says it all for him. One tough day. One tough day.
If you can read lips, you know he's a little bit upset.
Holding number 99 on the offense. 10-yard penalty, repeat fourth down.
John Dorsey, an outside linebacker they bring in on the field goal situations, was caught holding that time, number 99.
They're now going to have to move it back 10 yards and try it again. This now makes it a 36-yard field goal attempt by Al Del Greco. Del Greco said when he knows it's time for him to kick, he tries to breathe a little easier.
Keep his head down just like that golf swing he's got, 4 handicap.
It's up. And it's good. And so Del Greco boots it through the uprights for the first score of the ball game for Green Bay. They trail by 17 points. Milwaukee County Stadium, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, site of today's NFC Central Division battle between the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Green Bay Packers. And a 36-yard field goal by Al Del Greco breaks the scoring drought for the Packers. They trail it by 17 to the Bucs. And the scoring drive, 14 plays, 55 yards, and that 36-yard field goal by Al Del Greco finally puts them on the scoreboard.
James, when the Buccaneers were kicking off from this side of the field, Dominic Guipe was squibbing the ball down the field, making it difficult to return it in the end zone in the infield of what's normally the baseball diamond here at County Stadium. Let's see if Del Greco does the same thing.
So Al Del Greco kicks off action in the fourth quarter, the start of the fourth quarter here, as Bobby Futrell takes it on the 5. He's across the 20, across the 30, and Futrell still on his feet, up to around the 37-yard line. Coming up next Saturday on CBS Sports, more great college football action for you when 4th-ranked Florida State takes on the 6th-ranked Auburn Tigers in a game that will have a big impact, Danny, on the major bowl bids, and that'll be coming your way next Saturday, 2:30 Eastern time, right here on CBS Sports.
And Florida State won big last weekend. Jeff Berger, their quarterback, had a lot of problems, but at Auburn, has had a lot of problems, but he's back playing now.
DeBerg, pitch back to Bobby Howard. Howard up to the 40-yard line.
There's that man, number 50, Johnny Holland, on the stop. He's a guy, again, as we said earlier, that Forrest Gregg really believes in.
On the 40-yard line.
Chicago, still tough one there.
Making a big comeback, though. Philadelphia out over St. Louis. It is Miami.
Atlanta still yet to score there.
Yeah. New England still out front over the Raiders.
2nd and 8, ball on the 40. In motion. Jeff Smith. DeBerg back to pass. Finds a sliding Calvin McGee, complete just shy of the 50-yard line.
Calvin said, hey, if you're going to throw it low, I might as well slide anyway, because sooner or later I'm going to slip on this field. He's in the bare spot right in the middle of the field. Makes a nice sliding catch. He told us his wife is from New Orleans, and she's a great cook. And the toughest thing for him to do was to go on that diet that he went on, where he lost the 41 pounds.
Howard.
And again, it's Howard.
Tackled by Brown.
Dave Brown in on the stop. And make that Robert Brown. Big difference in size there between Dave and Robert.
You know, and again, let's keep something in mind that Forrest Gregg said to us earlier yesterday. He said this is the kind of guy when, you add up the total of tackles at the end of the game and sacks. Nothing very impressive during the game, but after the game, you look at it, big impact.
2nd and 8. Make it 2nd and 9. DeBerg back to pass. And McGee again. The big fella doing a good job.
Steve DeBerg is starting to get on his rhythm again. Got an outside blitz by number 97, Tim Harris. Inside blitz by number 91, right in the middle of your screen, Brian Noble. Now watch Steve DeBerg read the blitz. Offensive line does a great job picking up stunts and blitzes. And now Anderson in his face, 59, but boom, he gets it off to Calvin McGee. And McGee makes a nice run after he catches the football.
One of the benefits of losing 41 pounds for Calvin McGee, he said, was just the ability to make it through training camp. He said if he had had those extra 41 pounds, there's no way he would have made it through 3 a-days under Ray Perkins.
Especially in that Tampa Bay heat, where a cool day is probably 95 with 90% humidity.
And it'll be less than a yard for Tampa Bay in trying to make the first down. Call it 3rd and 1. Ball is marked on the 42-yard line.
Steely blue.
Jeff Davis said that Ray Perkins was not about to give out any kudos for losing by 1 last week. He wants wins, period. And Tampa is playing more inspired here in the second half. 3rd and less than 1. And the first down is accomplished and more by Jeff Smith.
James, let's talk about a story that Ken Kellen, the defensive end for the Buccaneers, told us about Ray Perkins. As you look at Forrest Gregg, he's a little animated right now. Ken Kellen told us that he put Ray Perkins' picture up on his mirror back at home just so he could get up every day during the offseason, look at that picture, and make himself go and work out.
One of those Steely Blues will be there waiting for him. 1st and 10, ball on the 39. Bobby Howard. And Bobby Howard with good quickness as he explodes through the hole, gets it up near the 30-yard line of Green Bay. Stopped by Dave Brown. Good quick moves.
Now watch on the left side of the offensive line, down blocked by the tackle. 79 Conrad Goody pulls out. He gets his block on the outside linebacker. And number 25, Jeff Smith Bobby Howard has all kinds of room to run.
Good quick foot movement on the part of Bobby Howard. And DeBerg seemingly content to keep it on the ground to chew up the clock there. 2nd and 1, ball on the 30. And just as we say that, he goes up top in the air. Great haul in that time by Mark Carrier.
Mark Carrier can't believe he got up in the air, and I think as he was hit, he lost the football. From the end zone, left side of your screen, Mark Carrier going up in the air to get the ball. Now he's undercut by the defensive back as he is trying to pick the ball up. David Brown, of the Packers made an excellent play defensively.
And at that point, you're thinking of safety of limb at that point. 3rd and 1, ball on the 30. Tampa looking for the first down. And Jeff Smith pulls straight ahead and looks as if he has it plus a few inches, and indeed he does.
Tampa Bay is attempting to run the clock down on this drive. They're trying to get maximum time out of the drive. So far, they've been very successful at it.
And you see the time remaining in the contest. Ray Perkins staying on top of the action. Even though his team has a 17-point lead, he doesn't look very pleased. And his team has held on to it for 4 minutes into the final quarter. To Bobby Howard. Howard slammed back Jerry Boyarsky, one of the Green Bay Packers, in on the stop. And Danny, as we mentioned at the top, again, 2nd place in the NFC Central is what's being battled for here between these two teams.
And Tampa Bay knows that they play St. Louis next week, and then they go up to Minnesota to play the Vikings, who are also going to be battling them for a spot on that wild card. And they're going to have to win these next 2 games in order to be successful down the stretch.
2nd and 10 for Tampa Bay. In motion, Gerald Carter. DeBerg back to pass. Bobby Howard was the intended receiver, but the pass was actually thrown before Howard turned around to look, as he was hit by Jim Bob Morris.
Yeah, that was a tough pass to catch because you can feel the defensive man closing on you, and you're still looking back for the football, and you know you're going to get hit. Sometimes it gets a little difficult. Steve DeBerg trying to get it out to Howard. Now, hey, it's tough to do that when you know that you're going to get drilled like that. But you might as well catch it because you're going to get hit anyway. Bobby Howard, number 25 out of Indiana, has got to be happy with the way his alma mater's been playing this season in the Big Ten.
3rd and 10, ball on the 28 of the Packers. In motion, Jeff Smith. Back to pass is DeBerg. Across the middle, intended target was Gerald Carter.
Good coverage by number 22, Mark Lee. He was going to deny the receiver the ball by staying in between him and the quarterback.
And DeBerg a little frustrated with himself as he looks to the sidelines for the signal, instructions from Ray Perkins. So Donald Igwe-Buike comes back on for what appears to be a 46-yard field goal attempt. It's up. It's long enough, and it's good.
The kick is good.
So Donald Igwe-Buike kicks the Bucks out in front by the score of 23-3. Explosion by Tampa Bay, specifically the 3rd quarter, that's helped Tampa Bay out to a 23-3 lead. Green Bay still suffering with penalties, and they trail it by the score of 23-3. And Danny, as we look with just 10 minutes remaining in the game, Green Bay has got to make a move now if they expect to get back in the game.
Randy Wright has got to go for deeper routes. He was throwing successfully underneath the zone defense early on in the 3rd quarter, but now he's got to go downfield. Needs a lot of yardage very quickly.
Well, Randy Wright certainly has driven Green Bay to their only score of the game, a field goal by Al Del Greco. They're going to have to do a little better in this last quarter with 10 minutes and 4 seconds remaining. 3 field goals by that young man there, Donald Igwe-Buike, a 48-yarder, a 36-yarder, and a 46-yarder. And with Van Tiffin having been waived by the Buccaneers, perhaps they gave Donald, or Iggy as we call him, a little more confidence.
Yeah, Tiffin was their replacement kicker who had a lot of success in the replacement season.
And that will be a re-kick.
Either that or they'll take it up to 35 or so because the ball rolled out of bounds before it went in the end zone.
87 rule gives the ball to the receivers at their own 35-yard line, 1st and 10.
I think that pretty much says it all.
Sure does.
Nice and clear. So Randy Wright will try to see what he can do to get the Packers moving and on the scoreboard with the touchdown. They trail by 20 points. 9:58 remaining in the contest. Out wide to the left. Walter Stanley to the right.
As an offensive line, you know you're going to get nothing but pure pass rush now. Watch the legs of those defensive linemen stretch back. They're going to be on a hard pass rush.
Right, looking over the defense. Back to pass. Finds Philip Epps across the 50 to about the 47-yard line. Philip Epps. And Ricky Reynolds was in on the stop for the Bucks.
Coming right into the middle of your screen, number 85, Philip Epps beats Ricky Reynolds on the slant move, and he's wide open, and Randy Wright delivers it on time. Makes a nice little run there after he makes the catch. Those are the kinds of things that Randy Wright has to do successfully in this drive to get on the board.
3 receivers in, make that 4 wideouts for the Packers. Right, out of the shotgun. Going across the field, and it's complete to number 80, Frankie Neal, as Wright continues to move the Packers impressively. Ball is marked at the 31-yard line. First down for the Green Bay Packers.
Frankie Neal in the slot. Cornerbacks up in the press position. He does a nice shake at the line of scrimmage. Beats Bobby Futrell, number 36, right away. Now comes back in across the middle of the field. Leaps for the ball. Boy, can he get off the ground. And concentrates on catching the ball and not trying to run with it before you catch it.
Green Bay stays with the 4 wideouts. Keith Pascat and Walter Stanley. Right, back to pass again. And incomplete. As Randy Wright was under pressure, the intended receiver was Keith Pascat. Ron Holmes with the good coverage that time.
Ron Holmes brought big league pressure on Randy Wright that time from the blind side. Number 90, Ron Holmes with a lot of pressure. Now from the middle, they ran a stunt there. There you can see Ron Holmes slipping through, and now, boy, does he stick Randy Wright in the back. Those are the kinds of things that shake a quarterback's confidence. He doesn't know if he's protected on that backside when he's dropping back. Ron Holmes is supposed to be out with a knee injury, but it doesn't look like he's too hurt to me.
2nd and 10. 4 wide outs again. Wright, still with time, decides to run it. And Randy Wright gets it just across the 25-yard line. Stopped by Winston Moss, the rookie out of Miami. Randy Wright's been looking impressive, 8 of 12.
96 yards, and we've got a change in the offensive line. Forrest Gregg is inserted. One of the replacement players, number 64, Steve Collier, an offensive tackle, 6'7", 342 pounds. He says he has very nimble feet and is a pretty good pass protector. He's put him in over on that right side.
Pasquette and Stanley to the left. In motion, Frankie Neal. And Wright with a good pass to Philip Epps. And Epps caught that one in traffic. And again, Randy Wright still doing a good job of moving the team. They're down to the 20-yard line.
Right in the middle of the screen, Philip Epps coming into where the only open spot on the field is. He runs a slant route and is successful in the play. Now, Steve Collier, number 64, going against Ron Holmes, probably the best pass rusher on the Buccaneers, does a pretty good job and puts that weight on Ron Holmes and still pushing Ron Holmes. Big Steve can do that at 343 pounds.
And talk about offsides. Wright still goes with the play. But Tampa Bay will be whistled for offsides.
Flags on the play.
Ron Holmes got a little bit too active on that one before the snap.
Offside, number 90, defense.
Maybe Randy Wright's taking a page out of Steve DeBert's book.
Number 90, 5-yard penalty, still first down.
Giving him that hard count, that hard snap count. It's a nice way to get easy, cheap 5 yards.
Danny, you were talking about Steve Collier earlier, the big replacement player, one of 2 replacement players on the active roster for the Packers. He's won 4 different jerseys, having to change his number. As you see, week 4, he had a defensive number. He had to wear an offensive number. He went to number 70. Then, of course, a couple players came back. 4 jersey changes, size 58, and he has a 24-inch bicep. Randy Wright, back to pass. Complete to Frankie Neal. And Neal is inside the 5-yard line.
Green Bay coaches told us this guy was an impact player, and today he's displaying just how much impact he can have on a game. In the slot again, number 80, Steve Neal. Frankie Neal makes his break in across the middle, and he's open, avoids the defensive man, number 57, Winston Moss, and makes a beautiful catch, kind of tumbling forward, still had enough concentration to catch it.
Green Bay on the move. Wright back to pass again. Touchdown, Green Bay. Frankie Neal.
Frankie Neal, touchdown.
So the Packer fans assembled here at County Stadium finally have something to cheer about as Frankie Neal is on the receiving end of a Randy Wright touchdown pass.
He avoids a big jam there by Bobby Futrell, number 36, and makes a nice catch in the end zone for the score.
Del Greco will do the kicking.
Frankie Neal, who had 3 catches for 24 yards last week against Detroit, comes up with the touchdown reception. Del Greco with the PAT. And it's good. So Green Bay finally is on the scoreboard with its first touchdown. They trail by 13. The rookie from Fort Hays State with his first NFL touchdown for the Green Bay Packers, his first ever, helps to cut that Tampa Bay lead to 13, 23-10 with 6:25 remaining in the 4th quarter. And Danny, there should be plenty of time to do it.
Well, Frankie Neal, the 3rd-round draft choice, certainly is going to be one of the key players in that drive if they get a chance to do it. He was drafted out of Fort Hays State this year in 1987, 3rd round by the Packers. Has a lot of size, and that's why the Packers like him 6'1". Onside kick.
Onside kick by the Packers.
James, 50% of the onside kicks that are made are recovered by the kicking team. I'm sure that statistic played heavily into the thinking of the Packers. And it was at a time when Tampa Bay may not have expected it. The Green Bay offense is coming out on the field. Let's see if they're right.
And also if it went the necessary yardage.
The ball has to go 10 yards on the kick, and it appears that it's right down there on that 45-yard line is kicked off from the 35.
And, of course, Ray Perkins pleading his case.
Illegal touching of the kick before it went the required 10 yards. 5-yard penalty, re-kick.
And there it was. The question is, Gordon McCarter says it did not go the 10 yards. You be the judge from your seats at home.
Got to get across the 45-yard line just in front of where you see number 29 there standing. Before anybody from Green Bay can touch the ball, it's got to get across that 45. It did not make it.
Just shy. Hit the back of one of the Green Bay players. Just shy of the necessary yardage.
And the other key to this play is now is that Aldo Greco's got to kick it back over again. And this time, Tampa Bay's prepared for the onside kick with a 5-yard penalty backing Del Greco up. James, one of the things that you do in this situation where you've got everybody lined up ready for the onside kick as the Buccaneers are, is you try to pop it up and give your guys a chance to run down underneath of the football. Everybody's up close for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They only have one deep back. That's 36 Bobby Futrell. Sometimes in this situation, you try to get your kicker to just bloop it up, give you one of those, what they call Texas League singles. Just drop it right in and then give your guys a chance to run down and recover the ball.
Danny, maybe playing inside of Green Bay's decision may be the kind of control that Tampa Bay has had of the ball throughout this game. So the score is 23-10. Tampa Bay on top of Green Bay. With 6:21 remaining in the contest, Green Bay trying to get something going. County Stadium here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. The Packers trying to fight back into this game, trailed by 13. Al Del Greco tried unsuccessfully for an onside kick. Did not go the required 10 yards before being touched by a Packer. They'll have to re-kick it. Back deep for Tampa Bay, Bobby Futrell.
There's that Texas League single. Let's see if the Packers can get down. No, they can't. Calvin McGee recovered the ball for the Buccaneers.
Coming up next Saturday on CBS Sports, it'll be the NBA's Quest for the Crown show.
A good job out of you now. You're going to Houston tomorrow, I know, to do that.
I'll do my best. We'll see what the Rockets have to say. 6:15 remaining. And talk about leaving your quarterback naked. Tim Harris all over top of Steve DeBerg.
Well, either he missed the handoff or he's trying to run a naked bootleg. In either case, it's not a very successful play. Naked bootleg, you saw him tuck it away, and it gets nice to fake there by number 35, Smith. And Steve DeBerg gets ridden to the turf on the other side by Harris, number 97.
Ball on the 31. Brings up a 2nd and 14 for Tampa Bay. Out of the pro set. To Bobby Howard. Howard, quick blast out of the backfield. And Jim McMahon at the helm for Chicago. They've come back for the 2nd week in a row. They take the lead by 3 over Kansas City.
Jimmy has a magic all of his own in Chicago. Philadelphia trying to get out in front of, staying out in front of St. Louis late in the 4th quarter. St. Louis was trying to drive.
Cincinnati by 4 over Houston. Houston may lose that lead in the AFC Central. Brings up a 3rd down and 11. Ball marked on the 34. 3 receivers in for the Bucs. DeBerg out of the shotgun. Under pressure, has to get rid of it a lot sooner than he wanted to. As Tim Harris was all over him once again. Miami by 11 over Pittsburgh. And New Orleans continuing to shut out the Falcons there. Raiders crept back into it by 3. They trail by 3 to the New England Patriots. Frank Garcia will be punting for Tampa Bay. Back deep for Green Bay is Walter Stanley. And Stanley will take it on the 32 and has trouble again and loses the ball. But it's recovered by Green Bay. Walter Stanley, the second time he's had trouble controlling the ball, but comes up lucky as Ken Stills recovers the fumble. Green Bay will take over on their own 32. 52 remaining in the contest. Tampa Bay leading it by 13. What's important for Green Bay at this point, Danny?
Green Bay's got to go down and get a quick score. Work their outside receivers, get a quick score. Suddenly they're only 7 points down, can run the 2-minute drill and get back in, tie the ball game up.
Randy Wright back to pass on 1st down and 10. Looking upfield, just over the outstretched hand, it hit the hand of Philip Epps. A little high.
Philip Epps, the intended receiver.
For Philip Epps at 5'9", it doesn't have to be real high to be out of his reach. Epps cutting deep on the in route, number 85, outside top of your screen. He goes up high for the ball, but it's way too high for him. Also gets a little face mask pull in there by Ricky Reynolds, number 29.
Second and 10.
Boy, that's a real euphonic ring to it. Ricky Reynolds. 2nd and 10. 4 wideouts for Randy Wright. Back to pass again. Connects with Frankie Neal. Neal taking it to the sidelines as he tight ropes his way up to the 44-yard line, and it looks like he has a 1st down yardage and a couple.
Not only did he get the 1st down, but he did a smart thing for a rookie player. He tiptoed along the line, the sideline, got as much as he could, and then got out of bounds to stop the clock.
Heady move by the rookie. So take a look at Randy Wright's numbers. Very impressive since he's come on in the 3rd quarter to move this team. So Forrest Gregg made the right move in bringing Randy Wright in. We'll see if it can pay dividends. 4:40 remaining in the contest. Wright back to pass on 1st down. Going up top, looking for Pasquette, and he's got him. Keith Pasquette, the rookie out of Western Kentucky University, with the reception.
Keith Pasquette, number 82, runs a corner route here. Randy gets the ball, lost it up very nicely, and Pasquette does what you want every receiver to do, keeps his eye on the football. Hurry up offense here.
Right, back to pass. Across the middle again. Stanley had it, but the ball was jarred loose. That last reception by Pasquette was a 33-yard pickup for Green Bay.
Stanley, the intended receiver.
James, let's
And
go
again,
back.
Walter Stanley was the intended receiver, a young man who usually holds onto the ball quite well in heavy traffic like that. He coughed it up that time with the big hit.
Middle of your screen, 87, Walter Stanley. Does he catch the ball and then give it up after the hit by Bobby Kemp, number 33? Looks like he had possession of it, but he never really had his feet down on the ground. He was still juggling the ball as he was falling down to the ground and lost the catch.
That makes it 2nd and 10.
Forrest Gregg is saying, work those sidelines, guys. Save as much of the clock as you can. 4:02 remaining.
4 wideouts. Randy Wright out of the shotgun. Pasquette and Stanley to the left. Wright back to pass. Looking deep for Stanley. And just over the fingertips of Stanley, but there is a flag on the play. And again, as Walter Stanley was being covered by Rod Jones, he ran to that side of the end zone, Dan Jiggers, that you pointed before was a problem area.
It was a problem area, but Rod Jones had his inside hand on Walter Stanley.
22 defense, balls on the 1-yard line, 1st and goal to go.
And Rod Jones is, in fact, the guilty party trying to cover Walter Stanley.
Isolation replay here. Watch Rod Jones, number 22, reach in and grab Walter Stanley. Now watch. Here he's going to reach in. He doesn't even look back for the football. Right there, he slaps his arm down before the ball gets there. Penalty.
So it's 1st and goal to go. Ball on the 1-yard line for the Packers. In motion, Paul Caruth, the handoff to Fullwood. And Fullwood will find pay dirt. Touchdown, Green Bay. So Brent Fullwood with the scamper and the score for Green Bay gets them back in the game a little closer with 3:51 remaining. Al Del Greco will attempt the point after. It's up and it's good. So Dan Jiggets, we got a ball game here.
Only 7 points separates the two teams. Going in with 3:51 remaining on the clock. And here it is going the other way. Brent Fullwood, number 21, takes it into the end zone. Key thing here is the old Green Bay sweep. Watch number 21 run over 52 Scott Brantley and high step it into the end zone and out of bounds. Touchdown, number 21, Brent Fullwood. And what do you do when you score? You get down there and celebrate with your friends, and then you pop the ball. If he's learned one thing as a rookie, he's learned how to spike.
Bringing a little enthusiasm. And indeed, there is some now. Finally, the crowd comes to life as Green Bay moves within 6 of Tampa Bay, 23-17. And it did not take very long for that scoring play.
Well, let's go back to the half. Remember, we said Tampa Bay was up 20-0 going into the third quarter. Suddenly, they start relaxing a little bit. And what happens? Green Bay only needs one touchdown to tie the ball game.
And you also mentioned very astutely early on whether or not Tampa Bay would develop the killer instinct to put Green Bay away with the big lead they had.
That's got to be the most disappointing thing for Ray Perkins out of his whole day. Even if they win the ball game, he's still got to be disappointed that his team has not learned how to put a team away when they've got him down.
And again, this is a battle for second place in the NFC Central Division. Talk about competitive balance there. Behind Chicago, you got Green Bay, Tampa Bay, and Minnesota. Back deep, Bobby Futrell takes it up at about the 14, and he slides down at the 22-yard line. Bobby Futrell. Now the question is whether or not that was an intended slide to down the ball.
Absolutely. You don't take a chance on fumbling the ball because you have no one blocking for you up front because everybody's expecting the onside kick. Get as much as you can, slide down to the turf, and let your offense start from there.
And the 54,000 here in County Stadium come alive as they cheer on their defense with 3:45 remaining. Smith, the ball carrier. Not much of a pickup.
12th man is in the huddle now for Green Bay. You can hear that crowd getting into the ball game. Makes it very difficult for Steve DeBerg's signals to be heard for the offense of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Again, it didn't take Green Bay very long to strike. 5 plays, 69 yards, 1 minute and 1 second. Brent Fullwood, 1-yard touchdown run, did the trick. 3:17 remaining in the contest. 2nd and 9. Ball on the 22 for Tampa Bay. 3 receivers in for Tampa. In motion, Jeff Smith. DeBerg back to pass. Across the middle, complete to Jeff Smith. The stop made by Jim Bob Morris.
Jeff Smith has been the kind of workhorse today for the Buccaneers that's normally the domain of James Wilder, number 32. Jeff Smith's done everything the Buccaneers have asked him to today, and he's done it very well.
Shy of the first down, call it 3rd and 4. Wide to the right for Tampa Bay, Mark Carrier. Gerald Carter to the left. Pro set for Tampa. Back to passes to Bird. Complete to Calvin McGee across the middle for the first down. So Calvin McGee, the tight end from Southern University, picks up the first down for Tampa Bay as he's stopped by Brian Noble and Jim Bob Morris. And this is the first timeout for Green Bay with 2:18 remaining. Green Bay has 2 timeouts remaining.
James, Dick Modzelewski, the defensive coordinator for the Green Bay Packers, told us that he does not like to blitz. He feels that every time he gets in a blitzing situation, you can get burned, and you take a big chance. I'm sure that's got to be weighing heavily on the thinking of Forrest Gregg at this point. And now watch what happens when you do blitz. You see outside linebackers coming, inside linebackers coming, one-on-one coverage. Jim Bob Morris on Calvin McGee, 86, and he just can't get there on that tough one-on-one coverage.
And we continue to go back to the weight loss by Calvin McGee. He said that, of course, helped his stamina. He's still able to be productive late in the game, and Steve DeBerg is finding the big man whenever he's open.
Well, not only that, I think he worked very hard in the offseason in the weight room, and that's made a big difference in his strength late in the ballgame.
And Chicago, for the second week in a row, comes from behind to win. They're locked solidly at 6-1. Cincinnati on top of Houston. Miami, a final there. They beat Pittsburgh by 11. And Atlanta shut out by New Orleans. New Orleans is for real. Their defense, New Orleans Saints defense, is awesome. Eric Dickerson in uniform for the Colts. They beat the Jets. And Washington, a 20-point winner over Buffalo. So the division leaders continue to win. 1st and 10 for Tampa Bay. Ball on the 36. Probably the last play before the 2-minute warning. Bobby Howard. As he hits the left side of that line. Maybe a couple. As we approach the 2-minute warning. Forrest Gregg wondering what he can do to try and stop the Bucs and get the ball back as his team is within 6 of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We'll be back in just a moment. As Tampa Bay, Jeff Smith was the ball carrier trying to drive for first down yardage. And Green Bay has just used its last timeout.
Now,
as Tampa Bay is short of the first down.
But now, what do you do if you're Tampa Bay? You say, well, we can get the first down here. There's no way they can stop us. We can run a few running plays, keep the ball in bounds, and burn the clock up. And Green Bay has no timeouts left. Can't stop the game. And I'm sure that's what Ray Perkins is saying now. What will work? Short passing game. What will work for us underneath? Maybe get it to our tight end, let him run with it, get the first down, and then let's go to the conservative running game and run the clock out.
And again, a big decision for Ray Perkins as it's 3rd and 4 here. So they've got to get that first down.
I see the second half of that doubleheader in Minnesota and Seattle is already underway. Seattle with 1 touchdown already.
3rd and 6, call it now for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. In motion, Jeff Smith. The bird complete to Calvin McGee. He has the first down.
JB, the Packers came with the M&M blitz in the middle. Number 50 and number 91 coming in on the middle blitz. And DeBerg read it perfectly, got it to his tight end who was wide open. Coming into the void with those 2 inside linebackers that just left.
And Calvin McGee coming off of a big week last week against the Chicago Bears where he had 6 passes caught for 98 yards and 1 touchdown with a big reception here. And Green Bay, as you mentioned, with no timeouts remaining, are at the mercy of the Bucs.
We said that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers might try to go to that tight end, something short, slanting across the middle. They indeed did that, went to McGee. Now they may take a delay of game penalty, let the clock run down some more, run a few running plays, and let it go.
All on the 46. A handoff to Jeff Smith. Calvin McGee simply a strong day again. 7 catches for 66 yards. So Calvin McGee with a very productive afternoon.
And don't forget, Dave Duerson said he was an all-pro caliber player. Dave Duerson of the Chicago Bears, strong safety. Now I think everyone's beginning to believe it. Look at those standings, JV, Central Division in the NFC.
If, in fact, the score holds true, then Tampa Bay will move into 2nd place with a 4-3 mark. Green Bay will drop to 3-1. 2nd and 8 for Perkins' Tampa Bay Buccaneers with 40 seconds and counting.
And he still got the game face on.
He wants the W. And DeBerg takes it down on 1 knee. So Tampa Bay will come away with the victory. A game that became more exciting in the second half and a closer affair, but it took Green Bay a little too long to get untracked.
Well, it took Green Bay too long, I think, maybe to get Randy right into the ball game. He came in, veteran player, was able to get some effective drives offensively.
Too little, too late, as Tampa Bay moves to 4-3 with a 23-17 victory over the Green Bay Packers. For Dan Jiggis, this is James Brown saying so long from County Stadium in Milwaukee, where the final score is Tampa Bay 23 and Green Bay 17.
You've been fine.